Edwards and Tom Mazaway, as well as the Woodward Sports Network crew, and we are going to talk some golf today because what are we? What is going on, guys? How are you? Ryan and Braylon back. Last week you took it off. It's fine. Everyone needs a day off every now and again.
Did you miss us, Jade?
I sure did. But you know what? I'll tell you what. Neil and Joik did a great job last week, so it was a pleasure to have them here as well.
Week 5 in the NFL.
Oh, man.
I'm telling you, look, Neil and Joik are great. And Joik, he is one of those rays of sunshine. Is he not, Braylon Edwards?
Joik is very interesting. He has interesting takes on a lot of things. I've known him since even before he got to Lions, so it's good to be on a network with them. And yeah, I love that our shows are just they're very different, and we have different energy, and it's all great, and it's all going in the same direction. So
that's what's up.
Hey, Jets are down 20-0 already.
Yeah, so they're playing in London. They brought that back this year, which is exciting. Is that as exciting for us as viewers as it is for the players and for the teams?
I can speak for the NFL players on the podium here. They hate going to London to play a football game.
I can imagine that it throws everything off, and then the time change, that throws you off for a week after. You're not readjusting back to your time zone right away.
That's why the NFL gives teams a bye in the week after they go to London. It was fun for a couple of years, and we love waking up to NFL football, Braylon. But
I like that early.
Nobody wants to go to London to play. I mean, at least from my experiences with the Lions organization, when that schedule comes out and they realize that they're not included in the London schedule, they're cheering.
Oh, yeah.
They're happy. They don't want to go there. Nobody wants to go there.
Yeah, a lot of players, and then you don't really get a chance to take in the sights like you want to. If I'm here and I'm going to London, oh, man, I'm thinking London's going to be fun. I get to see taking in sights with family. But you don't really get a chance to take in the sights. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of practice. Then you go out there and play the game. You lose that week in terms of your biological clock. You come back. And before they had the bye week, they would play regularly next week, and they started looking at the losses. If you lose over there, they were losing the next week as well. So that's when they started to bye.
Did you escape the London schedule when you were playing?
I did. I never had a chance to play in
you.
London. But the other side of that is, to say you played in another continent, to say you played in another country would be great. But, yeah, I did escape.
But this is what it feels like, I guess, for people on the West Coast. Because we're at 1 o'clock. There it's 10 o'clock in the morning. So
Sure.
This is what they're used to.
I saw someone on Twitter make that comment, this must be what it's like in the West Coast. But that being said, this game started at 6 a.m. on the West Coast.
Exactly.
I don't know if anyone, I'm not sure that there's any Jets or Falcons fans, a ton of them over on that side of the country, but are you waking up? Are you setting the alarm? I mean, you have to be a diehard football fan, and you want to watch everything.
If your team's playing, Jade, it's great.
Sure.
Right? I mean, you're waking up, you're doing something a little different. Maybe you're going to the bar, you're having your buddies over at 9 a.m. for steak and eggs, and maybe going down the block and grabbing a keg from the party store.
Yeah. I'm
having a big party.
I don't want to see any of my friends at 9 a.m.
Make it great. Make it great. Or just stay up from the night before.
There you go.
That's
You could have. What a sports night last night. I mean, great college games. Then you had the heavyweight championship fight. And now you got the Jets and Falcons on in the morning and Lions coming up against the Vikings. I love it, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of sports going on. A lot of sports ball, a lot of sports punches. I didn't watch the fight. I forgot that it was happening altogether.
I didn't watch the fight either, but I read about it today, and I obviously followed what everybody's saying about it, and it was just a great fight.
It's pretty much how we talked about it. Deontay Wilder, he prepared something different. He came in, he had a little bit more wherewithal, fought with a little bit more conviction and passion, and he stayed in and went the rounds. He went the rounds with Fury, knocked him down twice in the 4th round, which has never happened in Fury's career. But Fury's just a better boxer. Fury's stronger, and you saw where towards the end of the fight, and it got to the point where, Deontay Wilder basically fought the last 5 rounds without legs. And you have to give him credit for that. But Fury's stronger, he's bigger, he's a better skilled fighter, and he just weighed on him until the end until, those 2 punches. The ref didn't even do the count. As soon as Deontay Wilder got hit with that last punch, the ref called the fight before Deontay Wilder hit the ground. But kudos to those 2 gentlemen, those 2 gladiators, 2 titans. I just wish that Deontay Wilder would have had a little more respect for himself as well as the sport of boxing. When Tyson Fury went over there to congratulate him after the fight, even back in the days, they were always talking stuff before fights. They would always get into it, maybe attack some family, maybe take it over the line. But after, They would always come together in the middle of the ring. You know, look at McGregor and Floyd.
Yeah.
Even they Conor McGregor went way above the line, but they were able to come together after the fight. I wish that could have happened. It was a stain on the fight, but not a stain on the physicality.
Just to catch you up, that was the third fight in a trilogy, and it was just some people are saying it was as good a trilogy as there has ever been in the world of boxing. And after the fight, Tyson Fury went to congratulate Deontay Wilder, and Wilder would not reciprocate.
That's so unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, didn't want anything to do with it. So that does,
as
you
you
say,
blood.
Braylon, I think leave a stain on it. But can we all agree, and this is my final point on the boxing, there is nothing like heavyweight championship boxing. Yeah. You can do all the UFCs, all the MMAs, all the Floyd Mayweather fights, all the middleweight and the featherweights. If there's a heavyweight championship boxing fight, there is nothing bigger in sport.
Amen.
Yeah, there's a lot to say to it. I think for me personally, it's hard to watch because I don't like watching people getting punched in the face. It's hard for me. I'm like, ugh, ugh. Even last night during the football games, I saw a couple of these players just get smoked, and my immediate reaction, I'm like, he's dead. That guy is dead. He just got ripped, and he's ripped in half.
Get tough, Jake.
The helmet flew off. There's no way that he is still alive. And then, they came back. But today it's all about the football. The Lions taking on the Vikings. 1 o'clock in Minnesota. We've got all sorts of great content to come up to discuss how they're going to win this game, all that and more. It's the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show. We're broadcasting live here at O'Toole's in Royal Oak with 101 WRIF.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
What's up, you guys? Kennedy checking in from the Cuervo Zone. You know who I have right here with me. I've got Andy Isaac, World of Isaac on Twitter, my favorite person to do Isaac Eats with. We just had some awesome pierogies the other day. First of all, I want to ask, how are you?
I am doing well, although I do not have good feelings about today's game, Kennedy.
Are there any certain reasons? Are there any certain players out that you're going to be missing today?
So, I think we all know the Lions were not great in the personnel department coming into the game, but now we're out some of our best players. We're out Ragnow, for a few weeks with the turf toe. We're getting people who are banged up. We have Hawkinson in the lineup. We have Swift in the lineup. All these guys are banged up. So I think today is going to be the first time I pick against the Lions, unfortunately.
Ouch. That hurts. And a lot of people are saying, I believe we haven't gone 0-5 since 2015. Do you think Dan Campbell and this regime, they're going to be the first ones to do it since then?
Yes, and if you look at the schedule going into Thanksgiving, where are the wins going to come from, Kennedy? Are we going to beat the Eagles on Halloween? Possibly. We have the Steelers on the road. The Steelers are struggling, but it's still a road game. Is our best bet for our first win the Bears on Thanksgiving? That's a really, really long time to get your first win in the NFL, and I worry about how the fans will react if it's going to be that long.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I've been saying since the beginning I didn't think we were getting a win until Halloween against the Eagles, so we will see if I'm correct. But this being said, the Vikings also have someone important possibly out. They say it's going to be a game-time decision. Dalvin Cook may or may not be playing today. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Dalvin Cook, I feel like, has probably killed the Lions. I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but Dalvin Cook is a Lions killer. But even if, I still don't feel confident that the Lions' defensive backfield can handle the receivers and Kirk Cousins. It's not a good matchup for the Lions. It rarely ever is this year, but even more so. I don't have a good feeling, and I'm picking against them today. It's sad. I'm so sad about it.
All right, well, thanks for always sitting here with me and talking football. We'll send it back to the guys at the desk. What do you guys think?
Well, it's hard to argue with that analysis, Kennedy. And Andy, thanks so much. Braylon, this is just one of those difficult games that you face on the schedule every year. And the divisional opponent, the success that the Minnesota Vikings have had against the Detroit Lions is unlike anything we've really seen in modern history. 78-39-2 against a division opponent are the Minnesota Vikings against the Detroit Lions. That is utter domination.
Yeah, I don't even think it's just one of those those games that we're looking at like that. I think it's one of those seasons that we're looking at like that. You're looking at the Detroit Lions. They were a bad team coming into the season, but we had some players. There were some bright spots. There were some things that we saw, and maybe some adjustments that could be made, after halftime of games. But now you have all these injuries on top of being a bad football team, and you're playing a team in Minnesota and the Vikings in Minnesota that is a pretty good team. Could easily be 4-0. The offense is playing at a high level. Kirk Cousins has had a really good start. Only one interception so far this year, which has been his Achilles heel. So, it's tough. You're looking at that like, where do the Lions have success?
How are you going to stop Justin Jefferson today? How are you going to stop Adam Thielen today? Kirk Cousins is going to have a field day today, especially with that secondary. It's banged up to begin with, and it's not very good to start with. So I don't see how they make it. I mean, Dalvin Cook, even if he doesn't play, you got Madison in the backfield. I just think Minnesota's got way too much for him this time.
And I agree with you, Maz. Look, we did this against the Baltimore Ravens, too. We continued to say, how does this football team compete against a team like the Ravens? They're so undermanned by their opponent. The Detroit Lions cannot match these guys anywhere, especially with all the injuries. So how do they keep it close? How do they, at the very least, give themselves a shot to win this game in the fourth quarter? Because that's really what you're just trying to do. Give yourself a chance to win this game in the fourth quarter. Get to there first, and then worry about how you're going to finish it.
Yeah, the big thing is like we've talked about. We know they're not a good football club, so what you have to do is you have to do the things, or you have to take care of things that are your responsibility, that are within your wheelhouse to take care of. No jumping off sides, no mental errors. If the ball comes to you, catch it. No turning the ball over, no senseless throws by the quarterback. These are things that, you say you can do that. That's easy to do, but they don't do it. These are how you win games, or these are how you stay in games, especially when you're undermanned going against a team like the Vikings or the Baltimore Ravens or the 49ers or the Green Bay Packers. You got to take care of things. Control what you can control. I can catch the ball as a wide receiver. I can stay on line as an offensive lineman. I know how to line up on sides as a special team guy. And as a coach, I know what calls to make. You know what I'm saying? I know what calls to get my team involved. I know what's a better call for my team and not an arrogant call, selfish call for myself. So that's how you stay in the game. Now, when? That's a whole nother ball game. I don't have that answer for you.
But you always talk about it, and I want to pick up on something. You say stay away from the sins. And sins in the NFL, self-inflicted negatives.
Yeah.
That's what you call it when you played in the league. The holding penalties. You can't get behind the chains. You've got it 1st and 10. It's no good. Doing nobody no good to sit there 1st and 20. You're 3rd and 5. You get a first down. Don't have an illegal block, to pull that back. Don't beat yourself. The Minnesota Vikings are good enough. They don't need your help.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying with the no mental errors. Mental errors and self-inflicted negatives are one and the same. Those mental errors, the lining up off sides, the holding penalties, the things in crunch time situations, hitting the open guy on a 4th down conversion. So just do the things that you can do. Anything else that's out of your control, you can't worry about.
We talk about finding that first win. Where's that first win going to come from? Because I think in my opinion, I don't think you can create a culture of success, a winning culture, without winning. Yeah. This is not third-grade Pee Wee football where everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets in the game. This isn't, CYO. This isn't high school football. You're not Western Michigan hanging tough against Michigan and you feel good about a loss because you're hanging around. This is the NFL, which stands for not for long when you're not winning. Yeah. And this team has not won in a long time. 9 straight losses dating back to last year, and we expect that to be 10 losses and 11 losses and 12 losses. You look at their schedule, Braylon. I mean, Cincinnati's coming in here next week. Who's stopping Joe Burrow? Who's stopping them? Who's stopping Matthew Stafford the following week? Is Philadelphia, and Andy Isaac talked about this too, World of Isaac. Can you possibly get a win against Philadelphia? Perhaps. But you could be going into the bye week, coming out with Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Chicago on Thanksgiving. That's a long time to be waiting for your first win.
Yeah, it was brought to our attention by Maz, even longer. If you go back to the last time they've had a win that wasn't Matt Stafford, obviously he played here for 12 years, but the last time they've had a win that wasn't Matt Stafford was Week 17 of 2010, I believe.
What was it, Maz? You got that?
Week 17 of 2010. So
what year are we in now? What year is this?
2021.
This is 2021.
Well, I mean, he was
It's 11 years.
It's
Just 11
only
years.
11 years.
But he was the quarterback for 12 years, so that's kind of with a grain of salt type of stat. The other thing about it is the only team to stop Matt Stafford, according to that ESPN fluff piece, is the Detroit Lions. So maybe that might play a part when we play them in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, and Jared Goff's going to have something to say about that as well. But again, this is an opportunity where the Detroit Lions go on the road against a divisional opponent. And as we mentioned, so many guys that were out this week not playing, Penei Sewell, Hawkinson, and Swift, those guys are expected to be in the lineup today. So at least that gives you a little bit of a boost heading in. You're hurt enough.
Yeah.
You need your best players to not only be your best players, but to be on the field for you as well. And it looks like these three are going to be in the lineup today.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those situations where, do you want your best players on the field hobbling and limping and then potentially get injured this game and not be able to play the rest of the season and nursing these injuries all year? Or do you want your guys to actually take rest so that they're able to rest, get healthy, be good for the rest of the season? I don't know which one you would prefer in this game.
Maz, as we look at this one, we talk about where is that first win? Where does that first win come from? It's unlikely to happen today, but that's why you play the game, right?
That's why you do it. And you know what? Everyone's got those pools that they go in. The survivor pool, you have to pick one team per week. And I don't know how you don't pick the Minnesota Vikings. Because once you pick a team in this type of pool, you can't pick them again. So like you said, when are you going to pick the Vikings again?
Right.
This is the week you got to pick them. I just don't see how the Lions could win this game, but isn't that when they win a game?
But is this that Lions team? Is this that Lions team that in years past, they always win a game they're not supposed to win? Is this that group to do it? And that's really what it boils down to, because Matthew Stafford is not the quarterback of this team, and I'm really disappointed in Jared Goff too. I mean, when your team is not as talented as you need them to be. Let's say this is a rebuild. They're building. They're getting talent. They're not there yet. You need your best players to be your best players. And Jared Goff not finding guys open on 4th and 2, overthrowing guys that do get open and beat their man. He has got to be a lot better than he is. I'm very disappointed in the way Goff has played so far. We've seen good in spots, but he needs to be good throughout.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to be good throughout because there's no confidence in him. He didn't have confidence when he left Los Angeles Rams and Sean McVay. He doesn't have confidence here in Detroit. He's making some of the same mistakes that he made in college as well as early on in his career and later in his career with the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, he's making those plays consistently. You can tell that the confidence level is gone to him. And to answer your question, this isn't that Detroit Lions type of team. There is no Calvin Johnson as a fail-safe who's a Hall of Famer first ballot. There is no Matt Stafford who could potentially be a first ballot Hall of Famer and was pretty good at the end of games in the fourth quarter and winning drives at the end of games. There's no Barry Sanders. There's no Herman Moore. There's no Lomas Brown. There's a team of individuals that we know nothing about and that just haven't shown us that they can win at the NFL level. So I don't know how you win that game today, and I don't think you can.
Braylon makes a great point. Who is that guy on the Detroit Lions right now that you're going to count on them to make a play for you? I mean, in the past, you could throw it up to Calvin or Stafford might be able to luck you into one. Barry Sanders, of course, hasn't been a Lion for a long time, but that was a much different team.
Right.
But in the last decade and a half, you've had that one guy at least that can go out and win a game for you, whether it was Calvin, whether it was Stafford. Who's that guy on this roster?
They don't have one.
They don't have him.
On either side of the ball. That's the sad part. The only thing you got, really, is a punter. They got a good punter.
I know you're trying
Fox.
I know you're not being funny on
No,
that.
I'm
That's
not.
their best player.
That's their best position player.
Right now.
Well, it worked for Iowa. Their punter is the best in the nation, and their punter actually put them in position to beat Penn State. But, it just goes back to just looking at the Detroit Lions this year, Matt. They have not only do they not have that player, they haven't been consistent in trying to find that player. You look at the last time they really rushed the ball with both running backs, it was at the beginning of the game against the 49ers. They've been inconsistent since then. They've been inconsistent in getting DeAndre Swift involved. They've been inconsistent in getting Jamal Williams involved in the second half of ball games. They've tried to go to Quintez Cephas a little bit too much. It's just inconsistent all the way around from Dan Campbell and the coaching staff as well as the players.
Yeah, because, look, if you're going to sit there and double-team T.J. Hawkinson and make somebody else beat you, well, then you've got
Somebody's open.
Somebody is open, so that's either on Goff or that's on the coaching staff in not getting those guys, designing plays to make sure those guys are open. So this is something to keep an eye on today because you expect the Lions to be trailing throughout this game today, and that will probably take away the run. So how are you going to get DeAndre Swift involved in this offense? How are you going to get Jamal Williams involved in this offense?
Even Khalif Raymond.
They're both banged up, by the way. Both running backs are really banged up.
Everybody's banged up in the NFL, though.
But it's just that they're on the injury list. So
everybody's on the injury list. That's what happened. If you ever get treatment, that means you go in and say something bothers you. They have to put you on the injury list. So there's no telling the percentage of the injury level if it's a high injury or if it's a low injury. But also look at guys like Khalif Raymond. You see he scores 2 touchdowns, and then they don't get him involved. They're trying to find him. So they got to do a better job of finding people, get people open. There are some people open. If you're going to double T.J. Hawkinson, if you're not going to put emphasis on the run, there's holes in this on these defenses. You just got to find it.
Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway. We've got Jade, our teammate from DraftKings Sportsbook Rock and Roll Pregame Show on W101 WRIF. We are at O'Toole's in Royal Oak. We invite you to come on down. We've got a couple of minutes before we rejoin our teammates at 101 WRIF. You can listen on the radio as well. If you're heading into your car, jump on in, turn on 101 WRIF, and you can listen to some great rock and roll. And, of course, us. Who wouldn't want to listen to us on a Sunday morning in the city of Detroit, right?
Jets scored again.
I'm telling you, there's a London game. Yeah,
they missed the extra point, of course. It's 20-9, Falcons over the Jets. And if you remember, I don't know how many years ago it was, Lions, Falcons from London. And the Lions came back in the second half. They were down big. Matt Prater kicks the game-winning field goal as time expired against this same Falcons team.
You know what's so funny? So I went to a buddy of mine's birthday party on Friday night. There was a birthday dinner. He's from New York. He's from Australia, but he lived in New York for 20 years. So he had a couple of his buddies from New York come in, and they didn't know me from Adam, but I was we were just talking to him and getting into, what do you do? I do a little bit of news, a little bit of sports talk, and I told him about Woodward Sports. I said, I do this show with a guy by the name of Braylon Edwards, and they're like, Braylon Edwards from the Jets? And I was like, they're like, wait. You do a show with Braylon Edwards?
He's not a Wolverine to them. He's a Jet.
He's a Jet to them.
He's a Jet.
Yeah, and it was so great. Like the Jets fan, he was telling me, Jets fans love Braylon Edwards. Yeah. And it was so great to hear that. I don't know. That's awesome.
I'm glad this old name still holds a little bit of stroke.
In New York, nonetheless.
By the way, Ty Johnson scored for the Jets, former Lion.
All right, gang. We are going to pause. We are going to pause just a couple of seconds before we rejoin our friends from 101 WRIF. Armani and Edwards, Woodward Sports Network.
The bottom line.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store.
Kings Rock and Roll Pregame Show here on the Riff. My name is Jade, alongside Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway, and the guys from Woodward Sports Network. And we're going to get to Braylon's breakdown here in just a moment. But, of course, the Jets and the Falcons are playing in London right now. And all I can think about with the Falcons is when they were up so many points.
28-3.
Well, remember, I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about.
In London.
In the Super Bowl against the
28-3.
Patriots. Yeah. The question is, guys, can the Jets pull off what the Patriots did in that Super Bowl?
Well, I would say no. I just, I would say no. I just don't think they have the horses. They don't have Tom Brady on the other side. Although Zach Wilson may be that guy eventually, they do not have him there right now.
I've got a friend who's a huge Jets fan. He lives in Chicago now, but he grew up in New Jersey, and he is about as sad as we are here in Detroit. And so there's like a specific guy that does videos each week about how disappointed he is, and it's probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
At least the Jets, won a Super Bowl. Although they weren't in the NFL at the time when they won it. They were in the AFL. And they made 2 championship games with this guy, Braylon Edwards.
Yeah,
so they've
man.
done better. They've done better
They've
than
done
us.
better
then.
than the Lions.
All
yeah.
right, well, there you
so
have
you
it.
set his heart at ease.
Yeah, right. Well, Braylon, we're going to need you to break it down. How are the Lions going to possibly pull off a win today in Minnesota?
Yeah, tell me this.
Yeah, please,
Give us your expert insight.
Please, we're all dying to know what this has got.
They need to break down the bus of the Vikings on the way to the stadium. It's going to be tough. It's one of those things. But we're going to find a way. I think the biggest thing for them is they know that they're playing a better team. The Vikings are a better team up and down the board than the Detroit Lions. They have better players that are ready and that are available for the game than the Detroit Lions. But they have to take care of the self-inflicted negatives. We talked about that a little earlier when we gave you a little preview, myself and Ryan. They got to take care of the mental errors. You can't make mental mistakes. And what that means is you can't run wrong routes. You can't make wrong reads. You can't pick up the wrong blitzer, or you can't forget to pick up the blitzer if you're the running back. You got to check your man. You got to play the coverage, the leverage, the way in which you're supposed to play. If you're a defensive back and you're supposed to be on the inside shoulder of the receiver, then you got to be on the inside shoulder of the receiver. And the coach and the offensive staff, they got to put the players in the best situations. Now, it's not easy to do.
I was going to say, easier said than done.
But these are things that these are things that everyone that gets into the NFL can do. As a wide receiver, you got to catch the ball. Am I not correct?
That's correct.
As a player, you got to do your homework. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what the assignment is. You got to know what the task at hand is. That's something that you can control. A coach, calling timeout in the right times, giving your teams the best chance. Were we having success? In that first half, what would we have success against the Minnesota Vikings? Where did we not have success? Let's switch this, let's rotate this around. And then just be locked in. Be down into the game. So that's what they have to do from a Detroit Lions standpoint. They got to be locked into the game, and they got to take care of everything that they can take care of and not worry about the other things.
Can I add to this too, Braylon? And I want to see what you think about this. I think this coaching staff needs to be better.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, you can go back to the Baltimore game where they elected to kind of play it easy, and this is a week-to-week situation. Whatever that game dictates, that's how you have to coach it. Now, in the Baltimore game, they play for a field goal when they should have tried at least a shot or two at the end zone to just put that game away. The next week they come back. Now they lose in Green Bay. They make no adjustments whatsoever, and Green Bay blows them out of the water in the second half. Then last week's game, I mean, this coaching staff is sitting there on foot. Call a timeout on fourth down. Don't rush that fourth down play at the end. Why not kick the field goal when you're down 10 to extend the game? This coaching staff has made two very big mistakes in two of their losses in the first month of the season.
They did call a timeout on fourth down. Except they gave the Baltimore Ravens that timeout.
That
on
was
fourth
Baltimore.
down.
I'm talking about the game in Chicago.
I'm
down
joking.
10, a 4th and 1.
That was a bad joke.
And you don't have a running. You don't have a running back in the backfield to help you out. Everybody knows you're going to throw it.
I think it's one of those situations. As I'm looking at the Detroit Lions team, as I'm looking at the players, as I'm looking at the coach, I don't think either party trusts each other. And I think that's what you're seeing. I don't think the coaches necessarily trust the players that they have. That's why they didn't go at the end zone. That's why they didn't attack the end zone, take a couple shots before they elected to kick the field goal. They didn't take that because they don't trust the players. The players don't trust the coaches because of situations like that where, if they're not going to trust us to make the play to get the ball in the end zone, then there's a lack of trust there. I don't know how I feel about that. And the coaches are feeling the same way. I haven't seen enough success out of my players. I don't trust them. I've seen a lot of mental errors. Jared Goff, center quarterback in exchange, he can't get the ball out of the center's hand. And that's the starting center, mind you. That's not the backup center that would be playing today. So the coaches don't trust that. I think what you're seeing is you're seeing a lack of trust from the coaches to the players and the players to the coaches.
I agree with that, but I've got to ask because, once we all disperse from here, we're all on Twitter, we're all watching the game, and Ryan, you crack me up on Twitter with your comments about things. But the truth is what did we expect, right? Like we're sitting here saying like this is embarrassing, this is a disgrace, but what was the expectations going into the season?
I expected them to be better than this. I really did, and I know they're decimated with injuries, but my whole thing about this Lions group, this regime is why them? What about this group is going to turn this franchise around, right? Because why is, we like these guys. Dan Campbell's nicer than Matt Patricia was.
Sure.
But is he a better coach? That is
yes,
yet
he
to
is.
be seen. Well, I don't know that, to be honest with you, because some of his in-game calls are not very good. Cost him 2 games, in my opinion. And we're seeing some of the same mistakes. Communication errors on defense in the Green Bay game. Communication errors all up and down. Penalties. How is that different? So I am disappointed. I know this was going to be a bad team, and this is going to be a 5 or 6 win team at best.
Yeah.
But I expected them to play a lot cleaner than they do.
I think it's one thing when you're a bad team. And we expected a bad team. And we've seen bad teams before, but you see a bad team losing, that's one thing. When you just see a team that just doesn't look equipped to be an NFL caliber franchise, like they just don't look like an NFL caliber franchise. They look beyond a bad team. It just looks like it's a jumble. It's a cluster. It's a cluster F in my opinion. Like the coaches don't seem to understand their players yet, and I know that takes time, but this is the product that we're seeing. We're only being asked to assess what we've seen for 4 weeks, and what we assess for 4 weeks. It just doesn't look like the coaching staff has an idea who their players are so that they can put them in the best position to win games. And it looks like their players are, they're waiting for a life raft to be thrown out there, and it just hasn't come yet.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's a lack of communication, a bit disjointed. So I agree with that. I agree that we didn't expect them to do well, but maybe play at the caliber level of being an NFL team and not
just don't
D-school college team.
Exactly, Jay. Just don't. Braylon always talks about this. We go back with the sins. The players in the NFL, they call them sins. Self-inflicted negative. They're beating themselves out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Stupid penalties,
in
stupid
of these
plays.
Cases, you go back to that Baltimore game, 10 guys on the right page, 1 guy not. How is that different from years past? How is that different?
In that moment, though. Like, in that moment, too. Like, you can't
After a timeout, Braylon.
Exactly.
The coach has called a timeout. So there's a timeout. How are you still not on the same page?
Right.
So that is what I'm disappointed about.
Well, you would ask the question, who do we have? And if nothing more, we need to have a coach that is leading the team and leading them properly. And so someone had sent me, his name's Brian, he listens to the Riff. He sent me a meme, and the memes are great. If nothing else, we have the memes, guys. Exactly. He says, Lions tickets are so low right now, you can stand on the field with the coaches, call 2 plays for just $75. So there you have it. Well, that's Braylon's breakdown.
We
are
might
broadcasting.
be better players than the players the coaches are.
I think that's it's a possibility. But we're broadcasting live here at O'Toole's in Royal Oak. It's the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show alongside the Woodward Sports Network on 101 WRIF.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
You can't get in on the action and score some big bucks with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Right now, new customers can bet just $1 on any NFL game and win $100
It is week 5 in the NFL. We are here at Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men World Headquarters in Birmingham, Michigan. What do you think about the Lions? We'll check in with some fans here. It is this week's Making the Cut. All right, we got Tony here in the chair. Obviously, the 0-4 start, not ideal, but one word to describe the first quarter of the Lions season, Tony, to you is?
Disappointing.
Not happy about it.
No, not at all.
You got any hope?
For a first-round pick, yeah. That's about all the hope we have right now.
Marina, you got a word for me?
Very sad.
Very sad. 2 words, but we still love you. Let's keep going. Sad. Sad. Very sad. I'll take 2. All right, we got Gordon here in the chair. Gordon, not too many people happy with the Detroit Lions so far this season. What do you think you are, a longtime fan?
The last time I was following them closely, I was very disappointed.
Well, I got news for you, Gordon. Not much has changed since the last time you followed them.
Very sorry to hear that. Very sorry to hear that.
Maybe sometime soon, though.
Hopefully. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it.
All right, we got Scott in the chair here. First of all, looking good over here, Scott.
Thank you. I have a good stylist. So.
All right, top notch. Scott, I want to talk to you about the Lions. So many people are down on these guys now. Do you have any hope whatsoever in them?
You always have hope in the Lions. I was born and raised in Detroit, watched them all my life, so I always have hope. But only the Lions can lose on a 65-yard field goal, right? So it's tough.
And only the center could be intercepted as well.
Exactly. It's pretty insane, but I love my Lions, so I'm going to keep watching. Hopefully they'll win.
This is what we're ending on a positive note. Scott, way to go. All right, gang, we'll send it back to you at O'Toole.
You download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Right back here at O'Toole's in Royal Oak. We invite you to come on out.
Yeah.
It is the DraftKings Sportsbook Rock and Roll pregame show with our teammates at 101 WRIF and Woodward Sports all season long. And Braylon, look, the Lions aren't very good, but it's the NFL. The NFL is king, and a lot of people get excited. These are events throughout the fall and winter in the Motor City.
Yeah, it's fun. You come out, go to a Lions game. It's the tailgating. Last year, a lot of this was missed because there were no fans in person and because there were no large gatherings and things of that nature. So, the bars didn't have it. The tailgating space didn't have it. The Ford Field didn't have it. So, for the fans to be back, the people to be back in high places, watching again, it's good to be around the energy. I just wish that the Lions could provide a little bit more spark for the fans that are desperately looking for a win.
And there's some teams around the NFC North that are also looking for a spark. Tom Mazaway, as he joins us here as well. How you doing today, Maz?
I'm great, man. It's a football Sunday. My wife already said, hey, we should take the girls to the apple orchard.
Stop.
No, she said no.
I saw that picture, by the way.
I'm like, honey,
beautiful daughters.
It's only week 5. I'm like, where you going? So she's taking the girls on her own. I'm locked in. I'm watching the Lions today, and the Packers are playing the Bengals. That one should be a pretty good game. The spread's only 3 in this game, which is
fishy.
Very fishy. I mean, the Packers only a 3-point favorite against Bengals. I realize they're home. But who you like in that game, guys?
Well, I think Green Bay's playing about as good as anybody in the NFL right now. Green Bay looks like the team that we thought they were going to be preseason. And I said this yesterday about Michigan State, about my predictions.
Uh-oh.
I couldn't have been more wrong on the Packers either. The Packers are going for it. Aaron Rodgers looks like Aaron Rodgers himself. He's got his buddy Randall Cobb. They just picked up Jalen Smith from the Cowboys this week. 26-year-old all-pro linebacker. On a one-year deal, but nonetheless, this is the Packers' year to win it. It's a make-or-break year for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers isn't expected to be there next year. We had Wayne Larrivee, the Packers play-by-play guy, on Braylon with us ahead of week 2 when they played it. He said, look, they're about $40 million over the cap next year, so they put all their eggs in this basket. I expect them to go out and win this game in Cincinnati today.
Yeah, and you can see it. It's one of those things where after, we talked to Larrivee, we were talking $40 million over the cap. Like, where's it at? We couldn't see where that $40 million over the cap was after week 1 in Jacksonville against the Saints, but now we're seeing it. That offense they've getting together. And when you had to realize that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, especially in this last, 12, 15-year period. He's really good, and he's shown us again and again. But what it also goes to is you look at a pickup like Jalen Smith. Some organizations get it, and not only do they just get it, they have provided a winning atmosphere. They have provided a year-to-year. They're going after year-to-year. They'll have a coach that knows what he's doing. Year-to-year, they'll have a quarterback that knows what he's doing, and they'll have players in right plays. It's easy to bring people into that type of atmosphere. I'm sure it wasn't hard to persuade Jalen Smith to come to Green Bay. Green Bay is in the middle of nowhere, but because they win at a high clip, because they are in the NFC Championship every other year or every year, and because Aaron Rodgers is at the helm, it's easy to get a guy like Jalen Smith to come there on a one-year deal, sell him on, hey, you know what, you'll see how you like things here, and next year or even before the season's over, we can figure out something moving forward in the future. When you set your franchise up to be a winning atmosphere like that, you always have a chance to correct things after every game or after halfway during the season and at the end of the year too.
I said it during our show during the week on the bottom line. I said some teams get it, and some teams just don't get it. And I know Jalen Smith came from a Cowboys, a winning team, at least this year, but he's so easily replaced on that team because they draft well, and they got a Micah Parsons there that actually pushed them out of town. I still don't believe how the Cowboys just let him go.
Yeah,
How does that happen, Braylon? How does a team just let a talented guy like that go? Is he causing trouble?
And what does that do in the locker room, really?
Yeah. You let a guy go.
If you're going to let me go, a 26-year-old all-pro, if you're going to let him go, you're going to let me go too.
But this is why I said I don't think it's anything happens. Like whenever you see something like this happen as a fan or as a novice or as, a person that's not in the front office of an organization, you're like, oh, he must be a troublemaker. Oh, he must be a problem. There must be something in there that we're missing. Or it could just be that Jerry Jones is so excited with Micah Parsons, he doesn't want to get anything started that hasn't gotten started. They're two alpha males. They play the same position, although Micah plays everything on that field. You know he's not going to play at that position anymore. So if you're Jerry Jones and you know what, you want to do a guy a favor because you really care about your players that well and you're really just letting him go because nothing's happened, what I do, I'll let him go, still pay him what I owe him, and let him go out there and get to another team because we just don't need him. Because we have Micah Parsons and we just know what we have in him. You know what? Maybe I just let him go as a what's the word I'm looking for? As a favor.
Favor to him.
As a favor to the player. Like, you know what? I'll let you go get on the team. I'll let you make some more money somewhere else. And that's what he did. He let him go. Now he's with Green Bay, who might have to play Dallas in the NFC.
That's very smart.
Sometimes it's not about being smart. Sometimes it's about owing somebody a favor. Jalen Smith did nothing wrong. He was All Pro 2 years ago. He had the most tackles he's had in his career and sacks last year. He's done everything right for you, but you choose to get rid of him. Sometimes that's like, you know what? I'm going to get rid of you, so I'll do you a favor since you've done nothing wrong.
How could the Lions?
He don't want to come here, Maz. I mean, Jalen Smith is not going to come here. He's a 26-year-old All-Pro who pretty much probably, like Braylon said, maybe they did him a solid by sending him to Or no, they
did him a solid. Yeah, they did him a
solid. They did him a solid by cutting him.
Because what if they trade him for a fourth-round pick to the Houston Texans? He didn't do anything to deserve that. Yeah. What if they trade him to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a second rounder? All right, maybe I can understand that. But if you're just getting something to get something, and you happen to get something from a team like Jacksonville, or you get something from a team like the Houston Texans, or even the Detroit Lions, you might want to say, you know what, I owe this dude a solid. And it goes back to what you talk about, Maz, in terms of franchise taking care of players. Now when you look at a franchise like the Dallas Cowboys, that's under the record. Hey, you know what? They didn't want me to play here because they had Micah Parsons, but they allowed me to leave just to release so that I can get to somewhere I'm going. You can't leave the Dallas Cowboys with that energy and that mindset of where they are right now and then go play for anything less.
Let me get to the Bears at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Bears are a 5.5-point favorite. Is that true?
No, Raiders are favored.
The Raiders are favored. It's wrong on the sheet.
Wrong on the sheet.
Okay. So the Raiders are a 5.5-point favorite. Interesting comments this made. I'm curious to see how the Raiders react to the news this week about John Gruden writing an email from 2011 that was somehow found, or whatever the case may be. They were reviewing old league emails.
Right. Someone sent it to somebody.
Yes, from 2011.
Nothing's accidental.
That was racial in nature towards DeMaurice Smith, the NFL Players Association. That conversation, we only have a couple of minutes, so I don't know if we want to get into that aspect of it right now. But what effect will that have on the team today?
That won't have any effect on the team because this is 10 years ago. Like, at the end of the day, the fact that it wasn't brought up then and the fact that it's brought up now, even in the era that we live in, the cancel culture and all that, this is 10 years ago. He'll escape this just fine. I don't think it has anything to do with the game. It's just one of those situations with the actual comment that was made. There's just some things you can't say. Like, even if they're true, like, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that believe that, and actually he's about to get fired. DeMaurice Smith, he's incompetent. A lot of players never liked him, thought he was incompetent, thought he was, being used by the NFL itself, used by the owners, used by the commissioner. There was no competency. They did not like him, and he does have big lips. Like, I have big lips. I know what big lips look like. But just as certain individuals, there's certain things that you can't say about another color. It doesn't matter why. You just can't.
Well, let's just call it like this. A white person cannot talk about a facial feature of a black man.
That has known to have racial implications.
Right. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
It's just so stupid.
What effect will that have on the team today? You say none.
No, I don't think so. I don't. It's 10 years ago. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but he had to talk to his team.
I mean, I still don't think it's going to have any effects. It's 10 years ago, and like I said,
Maybe it'll come together. Who knows? You don't know until you see it, right? I mean, and that was I forget. I'm drawing a brain fog on it now, but
who do you like in the game? Bears or Raiders?
I mean, I'd like the Raiders. I just
cover
I
and
like
everything?
the Raiders. Yeah, I like the Raiders in this one. Now that was before. What effect will this have? I'll go with Braylon on that and say it doesn't have any effect on it, and we'll go forward. We're going to take a pause and rejoin our friends from 101
This
WRIF.
is the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show on 101 WRIF.
Yes, that's right. We're broadcasting live here at O'Toole's in Royal Oak for the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show. My name is Jade, alongside Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway, and the Woodward Sports Network crew. Steve Black here as well. And you guys were just talking on the show, which of course you can stream online at WRIF.com, kind of around the league, because we can only talk so much about the Lions, what they need to do, and our thoughts and opinions on all of that. So what do we have going on? Did you get some of the inactives?
I got
okay,
the
perfect.
inactives today.
Perfect.
For the Lions, we've got defensive lineman Eric Banks. He's scratched.
Who?
Deshaun Cornell, defensive end.
Who is he?
Jamar Jefferson, the rookie running back.
He hasn't been active yet.
Tom Kennedy, the game show host.
Poor
He's
guy.
been scratched. Jesse Lemonnier, the linebacker, and Darryl Worley, the cornerback.
I'd never heard of any of those players.
Good times. That's your Lions inactives. for
Okay,
today.
so who do we have? I guess the question is,
Who's active?
who is active? Who active? And what do we have going on there? I mean, should we send Braylon out?
Yeah, right.
We're gonna need you to fly out to Minnesota right now.
I'm gonna tell you like this. We're a couple players away from not even just me having to be active, but all of us. They have to
Lomas.
activate you. They have to Lomas, Joy, Calvin's around.
Hey,
Ryan,
I got a big inactive here.
Baker Mayfield.
Dalvin Cook,
Inactive.
inactive for the Minnesota Vikings.
You know what that means?
Nothing.
Start Kirk Cousins on your fantasy team.
That means the wide receivers will really be well. Kellen Mond, third-string quarterback, will not play. Emir Smith-Marset, wide receiver. Wyatt Davis, the guard. Michael Pierce, defensive tackle. Patrick Jones, the second defensive end. And the great Dalvin Cook, who has been struggling all year, basically, with injuries. And that's it.
Yeah,
He's out.
So big game
bring
for
in
Justin
Addison.
Jefferson.
Bring in Madison.
So do our injuries make a difference then? What are we thinking?
I don't think the Lions inactives do. I don't think the Lions inactives do. Those guys haven't really contributed much to this team this year anyway. Those guys.
The one guy that sounds like he's inactive for Minnesota, is that going to help us a lot?
It will. I mean, he's
one of the
an
best
Enough?
running backs.
He's
yeah.
an all-pro running
Is it enough though?
No, I don't believe so.
That gets him within 14 maybe instead of 21.
Well, they've been playing with their backup running back who would start on 12, 15 teams in the NFL alone. He's a really good player. So I don't believe that will have much of an effect on the outcome of this game.
Yeah, the way they pass the ball, Justin Jefferson hasn't gotten going on this year. So I think you look out for a breakout game from Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and they'll pass the ball.
Unfortunately, they just don't have anybody to stop him. They don't have anybody to cover those wide receivers. Who's covering Adam Thielen? Who's covering Justin Jefferson? Who's getting with Romeo Okwara out with his injury on the Lions defensive end? Who's getting to the quarterback? Kirk Cousins is going to have all day back there to pick and choose which receiver he wants to throw to.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about a couple segments ago, and we were just talking about the Detroit Lions, and you're trying to find a way in which they can stay close, a way in which they can bridge the gap, a way in which they can keep it close towards the end. How do they do it? Yeah, I've just never seen a team like this where just at every position it's just bad. Like every position, you're like, okay, how can they find the defensive backs are bad, the defensive lineman has played a little bit better than we thought they would. They have had some sacks, they have gotten to the quarterback in the past, not last week, but they have done in the past. Outside of that, the offensive line is banged up, they're hurt. The running backs, there's no consistency. Swift is banged up, Hockenson is banged up, Jared Goff has been inconsistent all year. Every position, you just don't know. It's a head scratcher.
Well, there's a lot of injuries, and then on top of that, like you had mentioned earlier, Ryan, that Jared Goff just really hasn't been impressive. And it's unfortunate, and it's reminding me of like the games last night, Michigan playing Nebraska.
I was waiting for you to notice the hat.
Yeah, I see
Right?
I see you. I see your hat.
Notice anything?
Well, between the two, I root for all the Michigan teams, but I am a State fan,
Well,
so
hey, look at them.
they're doing well.
Look at
They're
them.
doing well.
Boy, oh boy,
but
they're
what's crazy is watching Goff compared to these quarterbacks for these college teams. And last night, listen, these college teams are great.
Yep.
The athleticism is amazing, but the quarterback from Michigan and even for Nebraska, I feel like they're just lobbing it, right? Like there's no, and then you turn on the Texas A&M game, and that's like a dart. He is throwing that ball like a dart, and then you watch Goff, and you're like, Goff, you're lobbing it. Like, why? What are we doing here? Like, what is the level of skill that we're working with?
Well, I think that he has to be better, and he's got to play smarter, too. He's not playing smart. You know, he's locking onto a receiver and not going through his progressions. You learned that in high school. You know, I mean, what's he doing?
At the beginning of the year, I defended Goff. I'm
Me
like,
too.
hey, we got a guy that's been to a Super Bowl, that's won 6 playoff games. But then I started hearing all the other stuff. He's got small hands. He fumbles a lot. I'm like, you don't really pay attention to that because he wasn't here in Detroit. And now he's fumbling 2-3 times a game. And now you say, okay, all right.
We're going to need you to get bigger hands.
Yeah.
Where do we get bigger hands at?
Malik Willis. Liberty University.
He had a game last night. He ended up coming back to a win. But it's one of those things when you lose your confidence, it's tough. I remember in 2008. It was 2008. I had a lot of drops early on in the year. I recovered in the end, but I had a lot of drops early in the year. I just lost confidence in myself. I lost confidence in my hands. Like I'm extra. I'm focusing on every tough catch now. I'm over focusing on it. I'm paying way too much attention to individual catch. I'm not doing the little things I'm supposed to do. 1, 2, 3, catch, tuck. Catch, see, tuck. Coaches are now throwing the ball other places because they see that I don't have my confidence. Now I see the coaches not coming to me, and I'm the number one guy. I went to the Pro Bowl the year before that. You lose your confidence, and that's a little bit what's going on with Goff. Goff has lost his confidence. It's sinking in why the Los Angeles Rams got rid of him. Essentially, that's what they did. Let's call it a spade a spade. They got rid of him. That's seeping in. He's fumbling some snaps. Oh, man, maybe I do have little hands. I think he's really, 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 really inside of his head right now. And when you're in your own head, and especially if it's true or whether you believe it's true, if you think it's untrue or you think it's true, it is true. It's tough. It's a tough place to be. And not to mention, he's on a bad team, too. Like, when you're in your head like confidence on a good team, you can kind of figure it out.
Well, that's the thing is you got other people that can build you up and your coaches that are communicating and helping you if you are in that place. And that's athletes all over. I mean, look at Simone Biles, right? In the Olympics, in her head, dealing with – and so that happens. But you need – in a team sport, you need people that can help you and, players that are not bad.
The best thing you can give a professional athlete is confidence, and the worst thing you can give a professional athlete is having a lack of confidence.
Well, I know that this stat right here is not going to help our team with their confidence. The last time the last time the Lions won without Stafford was back in 2010. They were 0-12 on that season. So think about that. 11 years ago was the last time the Lions won without Matthew Stafford.
And they've lost 7 straight to this same Minnesota Vikings team.
Yes. So it's going to be a rough one.
And it's not like he's played 16 games every year for the last 12 years. I mean, there have been weeks that Stafford has missed, and this team has never been able to put 60 minutes together to come out on the winning end of one of those games that Matthew Stafford has not lined up under center. Yeah, it's remarkable to me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know where you go from it. It's we keep breaking it down. It's like, the more and more we talk about just the 2021 season, you always have to go back to last year, the year before that, the decade before that, and the decade before that. Detroit Lions is just a tough franchise. It's a tough organization, man. Sometimes
it's the curse.
Sometimes you get caught up.
It might be.
You get tripped up on words trying to figure it out. You talk and say the same things till you're blue in the face, but the fact remains they're going to have to find a way to make some plays. It goes back to this. This is the NFL. People get paid to do a job. You get brought in. Everybody on this team was good somewhere before they got to the Detroit Lions, so they're going to have to find that again.
They got to communicate and work together, and that's I guess that's what we'll see happens.
I do have a correction. Matthew Stafford has played 16 games from 2011 to 2018, so he was – for that time period, he was. So
for quite a few years, a few years.
Iron Man.
Well, we're about just over an hour away from game time. The Lions taking on the Vikings today in Minnesota. My name is Jade. This is the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show here alongside the Woodward Sports Network. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, and Tom Mazaway. We'll take a quick break, and then we are going to continue on talking about soccer. Yeah, we can do that. we can talk about Michigan State. Who?
How about the Jets?
Oh, well, we can talk about the Jets, but again, I believe there's a big curling tournament going on in Ferndale. So we'll be right back on 101 WRIF.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Tap dancing is my way of speaking to the
Make sure.
Right back here on Woodward Sports. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway. We are joined now by our Lions beat reporter, Corey Woods. He is with us. We are at O'Toole's in Royal Oak as well. Corey, thanks so much for the time, bud. How you doing?
With a DMC cardiologist at DMC.
Doing good. All right, so Corey, give us an indication here. What do you think? How do the Lions get this game
At Speedway, we know a fresh start to your morning needs a fresh cup of coffee. And a big boost of energy needs a big cup of coffee. So we've got fresh coffee all day long, ready for the brewing. We've got hot coffee, iced coffee, cream and sugar and all the good stuff coffee.
This entire season, so him being out, that's going to be good. But the big thing for the Lions this week is something they walked around all week. In those short yardage situations, what are they going to do when they get in the red zone? Are they going to be able to go ahead and punch it in? Are they going to go ahead and leave the ball in Jared Goff's hand? I think in order for the Lions to go ahead and win this game, of course, Goff is going to have to play well, but Anthony Lynn is going to have to be a better play caller, and I believe that he becomes a better play caller by using his running backs. Jamal Williams has been running the ball excellent this year when he gets the shot to run the ball. So I think if they set up go through the running backs just to set up the pass, they'll be good.
Corey, what's going on, man? It's Braylon over here. Hey, I actually was going to ask you about the running backs. I'm glad you bring it up. Jamal not getting the touches that I think he should. How much of the DeAndre Swift growing injury, how much of a factor do you think that's going to play into today's game? Because they're going to have to go to the run. They're going to need him.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely going to be a big factor. Swift did not look his greatest last week, and we all saw that. I think he was somewhere like a little bit about 2.5 yards a carry. So if they just go ahead and just play through Jamal, I think you're going to have to run him I say to give Jamal the ball about 25 times today. That's me.
But how do you do that, Corey, if you're behind 14 points, 20 points? Isn't, because that's one of the things we were talking about. How do you keep these running backs involved if you are trailing and you are forced to throw the football when really two of your best players with the ball in their hand are Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift? So how do you keep those guys? How do you keep those guys involved?
Well, the real big thing is just to not start out slow and don't get behind. I mean, big thing for the Lions is their offense starts off too slow. This year, the past two games, they've been held scoreless in the first half. In the first quarter of 3 out of the first 4 games, they've been held scoreless in the first quarter. So the big thing is for them to go ahead and start out fast and, be the aggressor, not trying to always playing from behind, because that's been a big thing for the Lions under this regime and even the previous one. They've always been a team that's been playing from behind. So they got to start out fast, and that's going to be with Jared Goff, making sure that he connects with his receivers, but also, too, making sure that they keep that running game effectively and manage those short yardage situations, something that they said they were working on all week.
Yeah, that's one thing they haven't done well is manage short yardage situations, and that's what's led to a lot of these being behind and not being able to come back. They've given up a lot of short yardage situations throughout the year that could have kept drives going and gave them a better chance to be in games. It's one of those things. You look at the Detroit Lions and you feel bad for them as a team, but at the end of the day, you look at the injuries, you look at the underman, and we've talked about it, but it's still football. It still has to go on. And what I need, and tell me that you see this too, Dan Campbell has to be a better coach for the Detroit Lions than he's been in the first 4 games.
Yeah,
I think we have a delay
definitely
or
has to be a
something.
better coach. He has to take control of the communication, because he even said that this week that he has to own the communication breakdowns with the team. Yeah, and it's been such a breakdown, and it's making him look pretty bad. And the biggest thing for me, though, is Anthony Lynn. That offense has to change with that. It's too stagnant. They're not getting any points on the board, and I know we got a little bit of delay. That was kind of confusing us, but that's really the biggest thing for me. Anthony Lynn, and also, too, Aaron Glenn. He's been pretty good. I like what he's been doing with the defense. Each week they've been progressing and they've been improving. But, again, short yardage situations and working with that secondary, that's going to be also another big thing for the Lions today is that secondary. They've had a significant guys go out. Jeff Okuda's went out. Ifiatu's still out. Bobby Price and all those, and AJ Parker, those guys. Those are all new guys that Aubrey Pleasant and Aaron Glenn were working with. So if they can kind of get those guys on the same page today, that would be good for them as well too.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's the interesting thing about whenever you bring an offensive coach in, especially a coordinator. You always look at, if you bring a running back as an offensive coordinator, are they going to run the ball too much? You look at when you've been a former quarterback and a former wide receiver and to be offensive coordinator, are they going to pass the ball too much? And I think that's what you're seeing with A-Lin a little bit too much. Is he's running the ball early on, but I think when he gets behind, he doesn't know what to do, and he rushes to the pass. There's no congruency as it relates to run, pass, run. There's no balance. It just seems like we'll do one, and if that's not working, we'll do the other. If we do the other, if that's not working, we'll do that. He has to find a balance. That's what I'm looking for, Ryan. Do you see that a little bit with A-Lin, of needing a balance of the two as opposed to just one that doesn't work, just the other?
And look, that was the biggest knock on him as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yep.
Right? He took the ball out of his quarterback's hand, Justin Herbert, a lot last year.
To where changing now.
Exactly.
He might not even have played had not Tyrod Taylor gotten hurt.
Exactly. So a lot of these things that we're questioning about Anthony Lynn now, they were questioning everybody who watches Chargers football over the last couple of years. That's what they were doing back then. I like the fact that Anthony Lynn is on this staff. I think he can offer a whole heck of a lot of insight for Dan Campbell, but I think he's got to be better in terms of his play calling as well. Corey, thanks so much, bud. We're going to take a break and come right back. This is the Lions pregame show with our friends, DraftKings Sportsbook, rock and roll pregame show with our friends from 101 WRIF.
Mouthful.
It is a mouthful, man.
Mouthful.
It's getting everything in, but it's all good. 101 WRIF. We'll rejoin them momentarily.
You download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device. Make sure
So we are back here live at O'Toole's. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway. We've got Jade as well. Jade, say hi to our audience here on Woodward Sports.
Hello, friends at Woodward Sports.
Tell everybody hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. We are looking forward to rejoining you in just a couple of minutes here on 101 W. What's that?
You can do that if you want.
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
Thanks for the permission.
Yeah. Hey, Maz, take me around the league here. What are we looking at? We've got a game going on in London right now.
20-9, about 8 minutes to go in that game right now. Jets are not looking good. Falcons hanging in there. Jets got a couple of turnovers in the second half. They just can't do anything with it. So 8:56 to go. Jets have the ball midfield. Falcons up 20-9. But don't forget, a few years ago against the Lions, they kind of piddled away a big lead in the fourth quarter, and Matt Prater won the game for them at the end. So that game's not out of the wood yet.
Not at all. Not at all. A couple of the 1 o'clock games that we've got on. We talked about the games in the NFC North, Braylon. Of course, Green Bay at Cincinnati. And then it is a 4 o'clock game, Chicago at Las Vegas. But looking at some of the games at 1 o'clock here, a lot of people on the Tampa Bay Bucks today, a lot of people on the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans at Washington, and then Tampa Bay hosting Miami. Which one do you like there?
That New Orleans and Washington football team game is going to be interesting because you've seen both of them play well at times, especially that defense of the Saints. You're kind of wondering where their defense is of the Washington football team. That's the thing.
What happened?
That's the thing that got them to the NFC playoffs last year, actually, and had a chance to beat Tom Brady and the Bucs because of that defense and the tremendous play of Taylor Heineke last year. So you kind of wonder where's that defense. I still like both these teams. I think both of them are a nickel throw away from getting it together. I like Jameis Winston and the Saints. I like your boy. I think he's going to eat that W. I think the big thing for them is you'll see Sean Payton just let.
What'd you say, Braylon?
Jameis Winston's going to eat the W.
He's not. He's not eating.
I think the bigger thing is Sean Payton hasn't, and once again it goes to trust. Sean Payton is just getting to know Jameis Winston in terms of putting the full reins of the quarterback position in his hands. He hasn't let him go. He hasn't released him. He hasn't unleashed the Kraken, but I think he will this year. I think they're playing in a good spot. I think they're comfortable with their defense, and I think he's comfortable in what Jameis has done. He's bought in. He's listened. He's been exactly where he's supposed to be. I think Jameis gets released this week and goes off.
We have a touchdown in London. The New York Jets are back on the board, down 20-15.
Told you it wasn't over.
6:55 to go. They will line up and go for the 2-point conversion against the Atlanta Falcons. Again, 20-15. Jets just scored a touchdown pending the 2-point conversion.
They've already missed an extra point in this game, so now they got to go for 2.
Exactly.
I love that Maz and I are the only Jets fans here right now. If you heard that slow clap,
that was like the movie Major League. And listen to this crowd as the Indians take the field.
That was definitely Maz and myself.
All right, Zach Wilson back to pass. There's the throw.
There's a great 2-point play converted.
Is that Jamison Crowder? No, it's not Jamison Crowder, is it?
Well, it's good for a 2-point play.
That throw goes to what Jay was talking about. Jay was talking about when you look at some of these quarterbacks versus these new studs, like that was a rope. The pass before that was a rope as well and looked like a stud.
And it was a well-designed play.
Yes.
It wasn't just some, throw some fade to the back of the end zone and hope your guy gets it. Well-designed play there. 3 games that I'm really intrigued by, guys, and it's at the bottom of your sheet. Giants and Dallas. Look, Braylon, you said it the first day we did the show. The Dallas Cowboys are as good as anybody in the NFC. You are right, my friend. I want a quick thought on that. San Francisco. We've got 2 minutes to get this in. San Francisco and Arizona, and then Buffalo at Kansas City tonight. 3 big games today.
Giants and Dallas is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, Dak Prescott's undefeated in his career against the NFC East. But that Giants team, man, they're coming off a big win. Daniel Jones has just as big as arm as anybody in the league when he's getting the ball down the field. They look well. Saquon looked like himself of old. And actually, if you look at that, the spread on that went down a point. Like, whenever it goes north, that's when you got to be nervous. Start off at 3-5, went down to 2-5. So you got to be nervous on that, man. It's going to be a good one. I'm still taking Dallas, but it's going to be a good one. Arizona, it's a no-brainer against San Francisco.
Nope.
Excuse me, Arizona.
It's a brainer.
Excuse me, Arizona, no-brainer against San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he has a terrible game. And then, not Jimmy Garoppolo, but Trey Lance, his first game, I think he'll have a bad one. And then I got Buffalo over Kansas City in a great one.
Big one, huh? Maz?
You know me, I always go the opposite of Braylon. I'm going to take the Giants.
That's not true. You guys, this week when we did our picks, you had like 6 of the 8 same picks.
College football, yeah.
Yeah.
Giants are going to hang with the Cowboys today. I really believe that. I think San Francisco is going to beat Arizona. Okay. And then secondly, I think Kansas City will beat up on the Bills.
I think that this Buffalo-Kansas City game is so intriguing. That's a coin flip for me. I don't know. On one hand, I can see Kansas City staking their claim to the AFC and Buffalo saying, hey, we're here, don't forget about us. Going to take a pause. We'll get back into this in just a little bit. Going to take about a 10-second pause before we rejoin our friends.
Go Jets.
From 101 WRIF.
It's the weekend. Put on your soft life pants and grab a beer. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Pregame Show on Detroit's home for rock and roll. 101 The Riff.
That's right. We're broadcasting live here at O'Toole's in Royal Oak for the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show. The doors are open. The beer is flowing. The food is hot. And I'm a little hungry, guys. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are you in the mood for?
What are we ordering today?
I don't know. They've got a great burger, a great pizza. And both of those are great if you're tailgating and you're going to drink about 14 beers to get through this Lions game. So you guys are just going around the league kind of with some of the big games coming up later this afternoon. So I guess, it's always Tom Brady. That's always a big one, except they're playing Miami. And what are they doing?
Going to be interesting, though, Braylon, to see going to be really interesting to see how Tom Brady and the Bucs react to that big game. So much energy put on them. Last week at New England, everybody was waiting for Tom Brady. Now it's almost like, okay, now that game is out of the way, let's go play football and start preparing to win a championship.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about it last week. We looked at their schedule. We didn't look at their schedule before going into the Rams game, before going into the Patriots game. They have a pretty easy schedule, or favorable. Let me not say easy. It is the NFL. They have a pretty favorable schedule for being returned Super Bowl champs, to bring back 22 starters. I want to see them get back to the football that I saw in the playoffs. That's the big thing for me. I think they got the Rams game out the way. Okay, they took a loss to the Rams and Matt Stafford. They came back and almost lost to the Patriots, but now they got that emotional monkey off their back. It's time to get back to that football. We saw a dominant defense last year, and you're not seeing that because of injuries in the secondary. Where is Shaq Barrett? Where is White? Where's
Where's
White?
Ndamukong Suh?
Where are these players at? I need to see that out of them. And on the offense side of the ball, I need the Patriots. I need Tom Brady and the Bucs to keep doing what they're doing, run the ball. That's something that I want to see. Offense is fine, but defense, where is that defense? This is a perfect game and a perfect opportunity to show up moving forward in the rest of the season. This is a good game for that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that, like you mentioned, Ryan, now that they've gotten the Patriots game out of the way, because that had to be mental stress more than anything. Even a Super Bowl maybe.
Think about their last couple of weeks, right? The big one at L.A. against Matthew Stafford, who everybody believes is going to be one of their chief contenders in the NFC. So you got that game, and then all the emotion of going back to New England. Now it's like, okay, those two issues are out of the way. Let's go play football now. I think you're going to see a Tom Brady-led Buccaneers team today have their way as they get back to football against the Miami Dolphins, minus Tua Tagovailoa.
One thing I did notice is they struggled in the red zone the last 2 weeks. I mean, they struggled. They struggled last week without Gronkowski. You saw they got down there in New England a couple times, and they struggled because that's Gronk's zone. Like once you get inside that 15-yard range, sometimes even in the red zone, starting at the 20, that's Gronk. Gronk's running over routes. Gronk's running inside slot, wide seam routes. Like that's where Tom feels comfortable. That's his safety valve. He didn't have it, and he looked and despair a little bit in those moments. So they're not going to have him again. Those ribs really are fractured with a pinch in his lung, I believe, as well. That's going to be tough, and it's going to see how does he react. How does he get O.J. Howard, whose first-round draft pick a couple years ago has had some injuries since he's been in there, but still a tremendous talent. Can he put O.J. Howard in that position that Robert Gronkowski usually occupies?
Well, speaking of Gronk being out, did you guys see – he's staying busy, right? These are busy guys. Did you see him on he was on a game show? And I assume that it was filmed before.
Was he hosting Jeopardy?
No, he's on like one of these goofy like celebrity game shows, and he shoved 9 hot dogs in his mouth.
Oh.
It was one of the most disturbing things I think I've ever seen. His girlfriend was with him. It's one of these things that they're filming at their homes, but it's all sorts of different celebrities, athletes, all sorts of people doing goofy things, and Gronk had fit 9 hot dogs in his mouth, and I was appalled.
Maybe that's why he's got a girlfriend and not a wife.
Hi-oh.
I don't know.
I know, Ryan, you want to talk a little U of M football. And that was, what a game last night against Nebraska.
He doesn't want to talk a little U of M football.
Sure.
How much time do we have left?
We've got some time for you because, like I said, we're nothing's changing with our Lions opinions. So let's talk U of M.
And let me just get this thought on the Spartans before, so I don't make all our MSU friends puke on the way. But Michigan State is as good a football team as there is in the Big Ten. Or that's maybe too high a praise, but they are explosive, they have speed, and they're playing really well right now, Braylon.
Michigan is as good as an offensive and special teams team that you will see in the Big Ten. I'm not completely.
I was saying Michigan State first.
I meant Michigan State. Michigan State. Michigan State is as good as an offense and special teams that you have in the Big Ten. I'm not completely sold in their defense.
Yeah.
But that offense they're mean. What they do with Peyton Thorne, Kenneth Walker III, as well as Naylor and Reed. If it's not Reed, it's Naylor. If it's not Naylor, it's Reed. If it's not Kenneth Walker, it's Peyton Thorne, or it's Hayward out the backfield. That offense is stacked, man. And then they're special on special teams, kicking game as well as the return game. They're really, really good. Defense, I'm still waiting to see. I'm waiting to see, but they are a heck of a team, and they're really good. It's hard to go in the conference, get a win on the road. Piscataway is a tough place to play unless you're Michigan and 78-0. But Piscataway is a tough place to play, especially with Greg Schiano at the helm. They went up there, they handled business, and now they're still undefeated.
Okay, Braylon, here we go. I'm going to try not to get too close as I lather up on my Michigan.
Oh, man.
Okay.
I don't like the way you put that.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, look.
He's gross.
Look, Jade, that was as good a win as I've seen in 7 years under Jim Harbaugh as head coach. They fought. Yeah. They had the lead. They got behind. They got behind twice late and still came out on top. Michigan teams of the past aren't resilient, and they don't finish off that game. What happened last night in Lincoln, Nebraska, under the lights against a pretty darn good Nebraska team. They're not a great team, but they're a pretty decent.
They're very good.
They're very good, and especially at home under the lights. What Michigan did last night was as good a win as I've seen under Jim Harbaugh.
Michigan State escaped in Nebraska, and Michigan escaped in Nebraska. Nebraska could have won both those games.
Yeah, good team, like a very, very good team are undefeated. So it's hard to say very good. They're not undefeated. They're not top 10 in the country. They're a good club, but they're not very good. But they are
talking about Nebraska.
Talking about Nebraska, but they know how to fight. And the good thing about Michigan, I think this is what you saw last night that you haven't seen or even thought. When Michigan's been in these close games over the past 4 or 5 years, you've been very nervous and you've been praying because you didn't trust the quarterback play. You didn't trust the play calling. You didn't trust the playmakers. So you more so were like, we're lucky to be in this situation, and you're just hoping for it to stay that way, or you're hoping for the big play to happen, or you're hoping for the defense. And that's the only side of the ball that we've trusted in the last 5 years is the defense. Last night, we knew Michigan was going to win that game. That's the first time I've had that feeling in a very long time. Like, I knew Michigan was going to win. I trusted K. McNamara to make a play, to get it done. I trusted Hassan Haskins and Corum not to turn the ball over and to give me a yard when I needed it. Give me a third down conversion when I needed it. I trusted K. McNamara as well as Josh Gaddis' decision-making. I trust Josh Gaddis to put them in the right chance to come back to get the field goal. Every time they went down or they went underneath, I trusted Michigan, and I never worried about their defense. I knew at some time, whether it was Aiden Hutchinson, whether it was Daxton Hill, whether it was David Ojabo, I knew that they were going to make a play to help their offense and get that defense going, and they did time after time after time. That is the definition of a good ball club. When you just know that they're going to get it done and it comes from a different player every time, that's the definition of a good ball club. I like what I saw of them. It's a tough place to play. That energy was electric in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Michigan once again got it done.
It was a great game, and I think that Nebraska, their first half was not great.
No.
And it was like after the half, I mean, they showed up in the third quarter. That was where my confidence in them, Michigan winning, was like, what are we doing? That guy's dead. That guy died. He just got ripped in half.
Right. If you think about this, too, this is a perfect example of how coaches beat you, too. And when you make a decision as a coach, Braylon, and that decision doesn't work out, you're always opening up yourself for second guessing. The very first Nebraska possession of the game, they get down near the goal line.
Went for it.
And go for the touchdown instead
Blocked.
of just taking the 3 points. Michigan has not trailed at any point in the first 5 weeks of the season. If you're Nebraska, go down there, get your points, put Michigan behind. And those 3 points would have been huge that they left out there on the field last night in the opening drive again.
It would have made a difference in that last 5 minutes of the game.
Wouldn't it have?
I disagree, and the reason why I disagree is your team is 3-3. Scott Frost, your tenure so far at Nebraska hasn't been exactly what they signed up for. It's not what they thought that they were going to get out of Scott Frost and Scott Frost-led teams. You're in a situation where you're 3-3 right now in the country. You almost beat Michigan State. You got a game at home. You got a game at home in a night game, a red out. It's electric. It's the first drive of the game. You get down there. It's 4th and 2. If you go for it and you get up 7-0 and you take the lead on Michigan, who's number 1 in the Big Ten, hasn't been down before so far this season, that place is going to lose it. It is going to erupt. And if you trust your team, if you're this very good team that Matt said you are, if you're this good team that we think you are, then you should be able to do that at the beginning of the game. They did it. It didn't work. They trusted Martinez. Martinez had a good game. I talked about it early in the week that Scott Frost is taking the ball out of his hands in terms of passing a lot. He's letting them run the ball with the running backs as well as run. Makes it more comfortable. He's not turning the ball over, although he did do that yesterday. I think you got to go for that. I think Scott Frost, and what his tenure has been in these 4 years, 3-3 right now. He's going against Jim Harbaugh, 2 former players going at it as head coaches now for their alma mater. I would have went for it as well.
I don't disagree on going for it, but you need to get those points that early in the game. That's I think what the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because that changes the whole atmosphere of everything, like you said.
If we're on the road, if Nebraska's at Michigan in a night game and it's the reverse opposite and they're going in, then I take the points because I'm on the road. But I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska. They don't have anything to lose or play for. Like if they win this game yesterday, they're sitting at 4-3. They beat Michigan. They almost beat Michigan State. It's a whole nother ball game. I would have went for it as well at home. I wouldn't have gone for it on the road.
Either way, I think Michigan and Michigan State, man, thank God we have them.
They are a collision course, are they not? For a couple of weeks from yesterday, We're going to sit there on October 30th and most likely see a couple of 7-0 teams line up in East Lansing.
Well, we're looking at 2 7-0 college teams that everybody here in Michigan just adores either side that you're on, right?
That's right.
And our 0-4 Lions going into Week 5. So at least we have Michigan and Michigan State. We are broadcasting live here at O'Toole's in Royal Oak. It's the DraftKings Rock and Roll pregame show on 101 WRIF.
You download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device. Make sure you download the...
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Morning Woodward Show right here on the Woodward Sports Network. All right, as promised, how the injuries will affect the Lions. We're planning to go without Penei Sewell right now, and the Lions sound like they're going to be without 3 offensive linemen. So you guys kind of tell me what this means for us. It can't be good.
Oof, I mean, where do we start here? I mean, you're expected to play without Penei Sewell. You're already missing Decker. Probably going without Ragnow.
Yep.
Matt, we're going to preview the game much more later on, but this is a problem. A team that's decimated by injuries, that is going through a rebuild and trying to, like, find its... Like, what are we? You're trying to identify yourself right now. And, you know, that's something... let's be real here. Do you really know what a Dan Campbell football team looks like so far, 4 games into the year? You don't. And I don't think you're going to find that out this year. It's very difficult. Too many injuries. You're unsure at the skill position. The secondary is decimated. You just lost your best edge rusher. I mean, this is not... It's not good. Yes, you know, you can say, well, Dan Campbell's teams, they fight, they play. Okay, cool. Like, most NFL teams do that. But how are you game planning? How are you scripting against teams? What's your X factor? And I don't know what that is yet from the Detroit Lions. And these injuries really are just going to leave me with more question marks, Jeff. I'm not sure what to take away from the injuries outside if it's just going to hold them back. It's really going to hold them back.
Yeah, they're missing. I mean, listen, let's just start with this offensive line. You're missing Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow, and now Taylor Decker. And let me tell you the stats when Jared Goff is under pressure. His quarterback rating is 45.9, which is near the bottom of the entire NFL. So he struggles tremendously. And like most quarterbacks, when you have pressure on you, your whole job becomes that much harder. But with Jared Goff, he's so limited, and he relies so much on a clean pocket that, you know, it's going to be rough, man. You got Danielle Hunter, who's right now, I think he's got 5 sacks in 4 games. So he's on a tear. And without Penei Sewell, who, yes, he gave up 2 sacks, 7 pressures, but you're hoping he gets better game to game. So I don't know who's going to start. It's going to be all shift around offensive line. You're going to have Jonah Jackson and Vitae, but other than that, that worries me because you're trying to get the run game going. Your offensive line is your heart of the team, essentially, because defensively you got really nothing. Jared Goff is what Jared Goff is, and to make him be successful, you need a run game and you need protection. Where does that start? The offensive line. Even if guys are open, he's overthrowing them and whatnot. Offensive line still gives him. I mean, you saw what it did against San Francisco and Green Bay. He got a lot of time to throw the football, but. Yeah, it's scary, man. I mean, Danielle Hunter, this Vikings defense, they're 9th ranked in rushing, so they're going to be able to stop the rushing attack. They're not scared of it, so that's what worries me. Are you going to
be able to run the ball?
Are you going to have Jared Goff attempt another 30+ attempts this game?
30, I think minimum. I don't know how this game plan is going to work. I was really thinking at home last night. How are the Lions going to open up against Minnesota? If they are down Penei Sewell, this is bad. This is actually really bad. You're not going to be able to run the ball. Let's just start there. I mean, maybe you get a few good plays, but realistically, you're probably going to average anywhere from 3 to 3.5 yards if you're lucky per carry. Jamal Williams, are we going to see a lot of him in the backfield running, or is he going to be a pass-catching option? Are you going to see more DeAndre Swift? Because, let's be honest, you're not going to have a choice. You're probably going to be down early. This is really bad. I don't like how the timing of these injuries right now for the Detroit Lions. Again, I told you guys coming into the year, I wanted to see player development, team development, and just growth across the board. I didn't really care about the win-loss column. And here we are. Let's be real. We're 4 games in. You're 0-4. You've shown some good moments and some really bad moments. And you can argue with me, well, they could be 2-2. They could be 1. It doesn't matter. They are what they are right now. Stop. Okay? And what you need to understand is this roster, if it continues to get hurt like this, you're not winning a game this year. Like, this is not good. Like, like, jokes aside with this team, you don't want to go 0-17 year one. And my goodness, the injuries make it a possibility. It's not that the players are awful. It's not that the coaching staff is that awful. It's, my goodness, look at the amount of injuries. Now, do I think they can still win 1, 2, maybe even 3 games? I think so. I think they'll get healthy at some point and win a few, especially later on in the year where maybe teams have already clinched their playoff spots, whatever it may be. And you can probably circle the Thanksgiving game as probably maybe your first or second one. We'll have to wait and see. But point is, I'm not sure how to identify this team yet with all these injuries. And that's very frustrating. And we talked about this yesterday and really the last few weeks. You know, how do you consider somebody a bust, Jeff? Is it just on player performance, or could I also make the argument that it's his off-the-field issues? It's his injury problems. I mean, there's many factors we can agree that go into being a bust. Well, there's many factors into how your career plays out, not only as a head coach, but as a GM. Like, are the players you're drafting always hurt? Head coach, are your players always hurt? Unavailable? I mean, at the end of the day, you're held accountable for it. And no one's going to hold Dan Campbell accountable year one, no. But by Thanksgiving of 2022, like, I want to know the identity of this football team. And I think I could figure it out as long as they just put a product on the field at least. Too many injuries. Too many injuries, really. You know, Minnesota, we talked about it yesterday. They opened up at 7.5 points. Kennedy yesterday read it off at 8.5 points. Last night, it was 9.5. It was 9.5 on major sportsbook. I mean, this is going to be one of the heaviest bet spreads of the weekend. Minnesota to win ugly. I'll give my prediction later on in the show, but this is tough. This is tough.
And more importantly, Tyrell Williams still out. Khalif Raymond is probably going to be wide receiver 1 for this team with Quintez Cephas. So there's more problems with this ball club than just missing your offensive line. There's a lot of pieces. And what worries me is, we'll get to later, is, other people getting injured, and Romeo Okwara and how much of the pass rush he generates and what you're going to be missing to get after Kirk Cousins. But, yeah, it's not good. I mean, no doubt, especially how important this offensive line to just make things move. And you were kind of waiting on Decker to get back sooner than later. They're definitely going to be playing Jamal Williams a lot more. He's just a better pass blocker than DeAndre Swift, so expect him to get more snaps. He'll probably be more effective in the pass game and maybe even the run game, but they got to get Swift going a little earlier. It's going to be interesting to see the rookie step up, Levi Alim, without Romeo Okwara, who's generating, I believe, like 60% of the pressure on any quarterback in any of the games this year. If you're a Lions fan, you're worried, especially this week doing a Minnesota team who's so hungry for a win, man. It's been every game they've played, they pretty much deserve. They've been in it. So this might be the first game they get out early and they run away. I don't know. It's going to be very tough. They're going to Minnesota is tough. It's tough.
I have a question for you, man. So we're all trying to figure out what's causing these injury problems. Now, I don't want to point fingers at anybody. Could be the strength and conditioning coach. Could be the chefs in the building, what they're feeding them. I don't know. But I think it's you, actually. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think your 10-7 limo BS to start the year is causing all these bad things to happen to the Detroit Lions. You're the villain.
Yeah, and last night I went full Rams mode, and I picked Stafford to go all the way. And yeah, I'm willing to live with that. I'll take I think once they get the tattoo, they'll instantly start doing better, and they might get 10 wins by, the end of the season. So, yeah, I agree.
Do you know location of tattoo?
Do I know the location?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting it on like right above my knee, because kneecaps,
Oh, well, that's boring. Can you put it on your butt cheek?
I mean, I could, but that'd probably be a bad idea.
Can we do like a vote, or is it D-Mac's decision? Is it Darren's decision, or is it like popular
No, it's
vote?
my decision, like where it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's my body,
you make
my
the
choice.
decision, but can you put in the 0-17 tattoo like my initials or something?
What's the next topic, Kennedy? Can you tell us?
Kennedy, we gotta go.
All right, we'll go to break. Coming up next, you guys, I've got my Notre Dame sweatshirt on. Thank goodness Stick isn't in the booth to play that dang boo noise at me. But we have college football. We're talking about it coming up next, not Notre Dame.
Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device. Make sure
the best analyst out there, period, anywhere. Dan Orlovsky joins us on the Armani and Edwards program. Dan, thanks for the time.
Thank you. Good to be with you guys. I love how Braylon says class of 05, and he was like the 5th pick of the draft and I was 145th.
Well,
It's definitely the class of 05. It's just a different time frame in that class.
Well, hey, don't cut yourself short. What you did up there at UConn, you were that transition period and really got UConn looked at and going from 1AA to Division I. So you were that transition piece that people looked at and said, you know what, that team in stores, they can play some football. Let's go ahead and put them in the D1. So don't short yourself.
I appreciate it. It's good to be with you guys.
Man, good to hear you.
Hey, Dan, let me just ask you, what in the world's happening in Chicago right now?
Yeah. I think that the way that Matt Nagy has handled this, he kind of handled it in the vision of, well, this was an ideal situation, both coaching and player, that he wasn't on somewhat of a hot seat and expected to win, and that he didn't get the second-time young quarterback that they could go and draft and develop, and that he had just a wealth of time moving forward. That's not what the situation is. Or that he had this veteran quarterback that was going to just have to kind of be the bridge, so to speak, that they had this really good roster of offensive talent and a good offensive line and great skill position guys where the veteran quarterback could just kind of be okay. The supporting cast would carry this football team, and that young quarterback could just sit there and really kind of soak it all in until he was completely capable of handling all the offense. That's the ideal situation. That's just not Chicago. And I think the reality was Matt Nagy, for some reason, convinced himself of the alternative universe, so to speak, the alternative reality. And the thing is, he needs to show, one, I can develop this young quarterback. I did not, nor could not do it with Mitchell Trubisky. And then two, I need to win football games. Like, they got to win. He's got to do both. And I just... it's been very odd. I think the commitment was made to Andy Dalton early on that he would be their guy. And listen, I love that they're moving forward with Justin. The one caveat I will say about it is he is now hundreds of reps behind everybody else. He didn't get any starter reps in training camp. He should have started the first 2 games. So we're all going to look like it is, well, Justin Fields, week 5 starter. Nah, man. He's kind of still in his second or third preseason game, so to speak. And so that's what happens when you become so hard-headed to a situation.
Yeah, you're 100%, you're 1,000% correct, and I agree with you. I look at a situation like Mitchell Trubisky. One thing I always say, Dan, is in order to win in NFL, you got to win in college. Mitchell Trubisky didn't win in college. Justin Fields, on the other hand, did win in college. He did win in high school. He's won at the highest level. He's almost won the complete prize at the amateur level. But let's transition. I heard you say something about veteran quarterbacks. I know we don't have you for very long, so I got to get out as much as I can. What do you think about the situation with Big Ben in Pittsburgh? Are we making too much of him being old and being hurt, or is it about that time for him?
No, it's that time. But no one should be surprised that we're having this conversation. We try to tell everybody about this last year, and then we try to tell everybody about it this offseason.
You download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Pregame show with the Woodward Sports Network. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway, and company, and we are about a half hour away from kickoff. And, of course, it's a big game today because it's a division game, right, playing the Vikings. But what I want to kind of talk to you guys about is rivalries, right? Because we've got, for the Lions, it's the Packers, it's the Vikings, it's the Bears. I feel like the Packers is a bigger rivalry, just in general for the fans. The Wings are starting up. Their home opener is coming up on Thursday. They're playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, Stanley Cup champs. Braylon, I know you're big into golf, right?
I am.
As am I. And what I think is an interesting, I don't know about you guys with your golf, but Bryson and Brooks, the match coming up, what is it, the day after Thanksgiving?
Yes.
And I am pumped for that.
No, I'm excited about that. It's one of those things where I wish we could have had this back in the day. Look at when Tiger and Phil were before they became friends. Like, Tiger and Phil are friends now. They respect each other. They hang out. But they hated each other for a long time. Like, back in those late 90s, early 2000s, they didn't like each other. Another one would have been a good one, Tiger and Davis Duval. Like, that would have been a really good one. They were, rivals at the time. Vijay Singh would have been another. You would have loved to see that. The fact that you get this now, people are asking, You know, is it fake, their relationship? Is it fake that they don't like each other? If they didn't like each other, they wouldn't be playing the game. No, that's BS. They don't like each other.
Right.
They're two individuals that don't like each other. They're at the height of their games. Bryson DeChambeau, he's brought a level of hitting the ball just a country mile. Actually finished 8th place in the long drive competition last week. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. You know, the fans saying Brooksy, they can't do that now, you know, talking about DeChambeau. So
well, I don't think it would have escalated as far as it did if that video didn't get leaked of Brooks rolling his eyes, which has got to be one of the funniest videos in all of sports history of really putting a stamp on a rivalry, right?
Yeah, right. So Brooks kept getting interviewed by a reporter. Bryson DeChambeau walks behind the camera, and Brooks just kind of pauses and rolls his eyes. And everybody knew why he was rolling his eyes. So it is definitely a rivalry. Those two golfers do not like each other.
They do not.
It is real. It is. I hesitate to say hate each other.
Their fans don't like each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's like when you make your fans choose a side, draw a line in the sand. Like, hey, if you like this guy, then you can't be my. Like it's a real deal situation. I'm eager to see how it's going to play out. Like I want to see, is it going to be a hated type of round of golf? Is it going to be a quiet round of golf? Is there going to be some woofing like there are at the Ryder Cup, how they have some fun? You even saw when Tiger played with Phil and, you know, was Peyton Manning and Tom Brady when they had their little round, and it was fun. They were having fun. They were chipping. You know, it was like
they bust each other's chops.
Exactly. I think I want to see this because I think it's going to be a different type of chop busting.
I think that it changed what's going on in the world of golf because they did have to stop the fans from yelling Brooksy, and that kind of takes away from what the sport of golf is, right? It's this quiet, sophisticated, right? It's supposed to be like that, and it kind of changed. This is the most Happy Gilmore thing that has happened in golf as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, golf is at a whole nother level right now. You saw what happened during, was it the Masters or the U.S. Open when the guy ran on the field?
Oh, yeah.
Ran on the course, took a shot.
Yep.
So,
and that was like, what a great shot. Like, he did not duff that either.
Does it always have to be what it was? You know, I mean, how many times do we say, oh, these guys are in New York, what a crowd, or they go to Boston, what a crowd. It doesn't always have to be the wine and cheese crowd. You can have a little bit of a raucous atmosphere in some of these locations. Hell, even when it was here in Detroit at the Detroit Golf Club, the fans are loud and they love it. So I think, I think those are great atmospheres.
I think that the truth is that people who are fans of golf who want to go out to these events, and I went out to the Detroit Golf Club a couple of years ago. Watching it's a little bit different, right? But if you're a player and you play golf, and the truth is if I'm going out with my friends and we play pretty much every weekend all summer long, we're buying a 6-pack of beer. We're doing a couple of shots at the turn. At the bare minimum, it depends on how bad my game is. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to expect that mentality is the fans, and it's not the same level as watching these pros that are not like this is very serious for them as opposed to us who are like, yeah, let's go shoot around, have a few beers.
Golf is changing. Golf is changing, and I think the PGA Tour is trying to hold on to some semblance of what golf used to be in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. They're trying to hold on to some semblance of that, but golf is changing. You got younger people who are getting involved with it. The culture has changed in golf. It's been more fun. You have more everybody playing golf, from women to kids to different ethnicities. Everybody is involved in golf right now, and it's changing. It's fun. Guys are going out. Women are going out. You're smoking cigars. You're playing golf. You're trying to hit these monster shots. You're having fun with the round. Once the round starts tanking, you really start to have fun with the round. I think golf is just getting in a place where it's different. It's going to be fun. It's going to be more laid back, but you have to. Like, if you want to keep the numbers up, if you want to keep the sponsorships up, if you want to keep people entertained, and you want to compete with some of these other, not even necessarily main sports, but if you want to compete with some of these other trending type sports and trending things, you got to be willing to change. I
think that the rivalry between Bryson and Brooks really elevated that over the last 6-7 months, and watching them hug after the Ryder Cup with the trophy in between them definitely gave me a chuckle. So
very awkward.
It was but they were all hammered too. All those guys, I'm like, how did you go from 0 to hammered? It was like Tom Brady on the boat. They only drink once a year.
Love you, man.
Yeah, so
they held it together.
That's what Tom Brady allows you to see.
Right. This is true. This is true. This is very true. Well, the match is coming up again. What do we say? It's the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah. Yep, out there in Las Vegas. And like I said, today with the Lions, the Vikings, a rivalry, but it loses its appeal when you've got one team that's competing and one team that is like trying to flag down the pretzel guy.
Well, and even if you think about fans' enthusiasm, right? We're in week 5. And the Mazaway family is already going to the cider mill today.
Well, the girls are. I'm watching the game, man.
He's watching these. He's going to the cider mill. He's watching the game on his phone. That's what's really happening. You'll be at the cider mill. Don't you say that you won't be. I mean, how do you turn down a cider mill to sit and watch the Lions?
I know, but this weather? Come on. It's still summer out.
Think about how the crowds, like you see the crowds, like week 1, everybody's enthusiastic, full house at Ford Field. Next week, a little bit less. Next week, a little bit less. Then there's 50,000 people instead of 70,000 at Ford Field. That was a shocker to me, too. So, like, every week, these guys got to get it going here, Jade, or
Wait till next week when the Bengals are in town. Yeah. How many people are they going to have at Ford Field for the Lions and Bengals?
I mean, are a lot of people from Cincinnati going to come up?
They don't travel.
It's one of those things where you're looking at it, man, and the Detroit Lions fan base. I think what you're seeing is they were very excited early on with Dan Campbell, but I think that was them trying to hold on to how bad the Matt Patricia era was, how bad the Detroit Lions have been, the consistent losing, the consistent non-playoff appearances, So then they put all their faith and all their eggs in Dan Campbell's basket. And Dan Campbell doesn't have the player. He doesn't have the staff. He doesn't have players to win games. Now you get all these players hurt. But the Lions fan base doesn't see this. That the Lions fan base, and I understand, they're like, hey, you know what? Here we go, another losing season. Now, I don't want to pay this money to go see the Lions lose yet again and again. I don't want to play not only to go see them lose, but just not even be in the game. Not even have any semblance of winning the game. So, you know what? I'm going to start tailgating. Tailgating is back. Why not watch the game at Tin Roof, the whole game? Why not, go outside? Well, you can't go to Eastern Market this year, but wherever they're doing tailgates. Why not have parties? Parties at home are beginning to be big. A lot of people are inviting individuals to do the home tailgating thing right now, especially with this summer, this extended summer that we're having. I'm telling you, man, you got to look up. They keep losing. I've seen this before. I was in the league when it happened. And I saw nobody in the stands. They had bags over here. That was the 0-16 season.
That's the worst. Can we all agree? Maybe not. I don't know. They're gonna win a game this year, right?
Oh yeah.
The question, the tone of your voice is so like they're right. They're gonna right.
Hold on,
they're gonna win one.
What makes you say they have to win a game, man?
They're gonna win.
But no, why?
I know. I think they're good enough to win a couple, 4 games.
Against who?
Against who?
I'll go up and down the schedule. I think they could beat the Bears once. I think maybe when the Vikings come to Ford Field, who knows what the playoff situation is then. I think they could beat the Vikings.
With this team
at Ford Field.
Including the injuries?
Yeah, because every team is injured. You say the same thing. It all depends on the week they're playing.
But not every team had a base starting line as the Detroit Lions, and then they had to compound it with injuries.
I think they could beat the Bengals, personally. Bengals are going to come to Ford Field. If they play decent today, I think they will, as depleted as they are. I think they'll play decent. No Dalvin Cook for the Vikings. I think that keeps them in a little bit. The Bengals, I don't think they're a world beater. I just don't. They come in next week, I think you got a shot to beat them.
I think that they have a shot to win a game, but I think it's going to be an anomaly.
Right.
It's going to be something tragic has happened on the other squad, that there's miscommunication, injury, whatever it is. That's going to be the reason why. It's not going to be because of awesome plays and great play calls and all of that.
Okay.
That is well said.
If they win one, can they win 2 games?
What is this? The Price is Right? What are we doing here?
They've been in all the games. They have.
Yeah, but I feel like they're getting worse and not better.
I would agree with that.
Is that like what we saw in that first half against Green Bay, we have not seen, since. Even the game against Baltimore, right? I mean, that wasn't that great of a game. I mean, they didn't, come out and just dominate.
They did get to the quarterback, though. That was the one thing that you have to give them a ton of credit.
They did that well.
Like Lamar Jackson and you would probably say Kyler Murray, the hardest 2 quarterbacks to tackle. They got 4 sacks on him, so you got to give credit for that.
And now the guy that got to Lamar Jackson, Romeo Okwara, he's out for the rest of the year with an injury. So, I mean.
Right. By the way, Falcons beat the Jets 27-20. Matty Ice, 33 for 45, 342 yards for Matt Ryan, 2 touchdowns.
Good for him.
Good for him. What a game. What a great game to watch. What a guy.
I can't wait to go home and watch it on my DVR.
You did not.
I don't know him personally, but
I know you
it
did.
just seems like, after the infamous 28-3, after which is not his fault, by the way, but after the infamous 23, it's like Matty Ice just disappeared. It was like Matty Ice disappeared.
He melted?
It was like, not even just that. It was more so like, they kept getting rid of offensive coordinators. Like, if you look up with the Atlanta Falcons over the past 10 years, if you look up over Matty Ice's career, I feel like every 2 years you're looking at a different offensive coordinator. You're looking at a different running back, man. And I just feel like he's had some interesting times and an interesting career with the Atlanta Falcons. And that 28-3 comeback,
Where's he going to
do
be
him any
next year?
favors.
Well, we are broadcasting live here at O'Toole's in Royal Oak. It's the DraftKings Rock and Roll pregame show alongside the Woodward Sports Network. We are going to get into the Riff Zone coming up, but first, a quick word from our sponsors.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
What's up, you guys? Kennedy checking in from the Cuervo Zone. I have my boy Foster right here with me.
That's right. You don't use first names. That's right. Go ahead. I'm Foster. What's up, girl?
And what do you tell everyone what you call me?
I call you Tucker.
Why?
Because you tuck all your clothes in.
Terry doesn't like that I tuck all my shirts into my
I
pants.
didn't say I don't like them. I think you should let things free flow sometimes.
Okay, I'll take that into consideration. But obviously, I have you here to talk about the Lions. Now, a birdie has told me that you witnessed the Vikings lose to the Lions 17 times in a row. Tell me what your trauma is like from that.
That's the opposite of things. The Lions lost to the Vikings. Yes.
Sorry.
This came at a time when I really cared. The Lions lost 17 times in a row to the Vikings. And I swear every game was 20-17 or 13-10, and the Lions had a chance to win every game, and they would just mess up. And as a child, I was traumatized. The Vikings traumatized me as a kid.
So are they still like one of your least favorite teams or no?
I'm still traumatized by them.
I feel like that's a fair statement. So, Terry, I had Isaac up here with me earlier, and we were talking about when do we think this first win is going to happen for the Lions. Do you have a prediction at all?
I'm trying to figure out if the first win is coming or if it's going to be December that comes first.
Terry, I don't like that. That sounds bad.
It's a bad football team. But I will say this to the people out there. Do not let your blood pressure rise because of the Lions. Don't get angry because they're losing. It's a bad football team. They're building towards something that we're not going to see for another couple years. And it makes no sense for you to die of a heart attack because of the Lions this year.
Okay. Good advice from Terry. Don't die of a heart attack because of the Lions this year.
Right, because people do it year after year after year. There's just no hope for them. And in a way, you sort of don't want anything great to happen this year. Like Stick with Woodward Sports is a sick man. He says they're going to win 6 in a row.
Starting today, which means the Lions would be 6-4. If the Lions were 6-4 after 10 games, you know what's going to happen? National news. Sports Illustrated will be in town. The New York Times will be in town. The L.A. Times will be in town. So what in the heck is going on in Detroit? And Dan Campbell would be some type of hero. He is a hero. He's changing the culture of the locker room.
Well, good for him. But here's the culture that he hasn't changed: the incompetence of coaches. I'm trying to figure out, is Dan Campbell making stupid mistakes because he wants to see what the character of his team is about, or is he really that dumb?
Okay, but is it him or is it the Fords? How much blame do you put on the Fords, Terry? I've never asked you that.
All of the blame. Most of the blame is on the Fords because this is a team, the Ford family, the William Clay Ford Sr. hired his drinking buddy to be his GM. Then, which is not a good thing to do. Then he hired the drinking buddy's boy to be the general manager. And do you know why they hired Matt Millen?
No, I do not.
Not to win a championship, because Matt Millen was a good guy.
Oh, I have heard that. Yeah, great guy.
That's not a reason to do it.
All right, Terry. Well, thank you for sitting here and giving me a little bit of a history lesson, giving me your outlook on the season. Everyone, remember, do not have a heart attack. Back to the guys at the desk. Are you guys having heart attacks?
Yes, that's right. We are broadcasting live here at O'Toole's. That was Kennedy over with the Woodward Sports Network. We are. This is the DraftKings Rock and Roll Pregame Show. I love doing this every week because we do some things that are just like straight on the fly. You guys have some pretty cool pictures from our friend Honeycutt.
Yeah, James Honeycutt came, and I'm not having a heart attack because the Lions do not give me the butterflies anymore. Now, last night during Michigan game, maybe. But yeah, so our friend James Honeycutt. Hey, hold this one up too, Braylon. James Honeycutt.
I'm not trying to hurt you. This beautiful mug.
Drew us some pictures. He draws all these caricatures.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, if you're watching on
WRIF.com
or on YouTube for Art Woodward Sports, you will see
got the
these
good
things.
one, man.
What? He
He
knows,
does such a great job.
He knows I'm a huge Rocky fan, so he put my face on my body and put the Rocky shorts on me and had me fighting Clubber Lang.
That's me. That's supposed to be me.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
That's definitely supposed to be Braylon.
That's a me version of Clubber Lang. Yeah. You slowpoke. That's me and you. That's Rocky
Here,
and
do you
Clubber.
want this one then? And I'll
No,
take
no,
this
no,
one.
no, no,
We'll
no.
put him in the studio.
All right, we'll put him in the studio.
Good.
I'm going to
Sorry.
steal it anyway.
He does such a great job. He did some really great photos of you guys. He actually did when I got my cat, which was a few years ago. He did one of me and my cat, which is
What's
just
your cat's name?
Miss Carl.
Oh, Miss Carl.
There was a bit of a confusion when I received the cat. I thought it was a boy. Turns out it was a girl. So it's just Miss Carl now. But yeah.
What they said about my second kid.
Oh, okay.
They told us little Luke was going to be a girl.
Did you have a name picked out already?
Oh yeah, we had everything ready to go. And then it was a boy.
So what was the shock? What was the situation?
Well, it was before he came out.
Oh,
but
okay.
Still. Yeah,
I thought maybe like he was born and you were like,
No,
whoa,
no,
what is happening here?
He was not born yet, but yeah.
What's going on here?
It was weeks later.
Oh man.
That we found out about.
Well, at least you had time to prepare that.
Exactly.
That's good. All right. Well, we are in the Rift Zone here as we are wrapping up the DraftKings Rock and Roll pregame show. Maz right now is in the lead. He's got 12. Last week, Neil was here picking for you, Ryan. Joik was picking for you, Braylon.
That's not good.
So last week Neil got 2 of 6. Everyone else, we all got 1 of 6. So Maz in the lead.
Picked up a game.
You picked up, yes, you gained 1. So Maz is sitting at 12, Braylon 10, myself, Ryan, and Steve Black. We are all sitting at 8.
Oh, so I'm in second place now.
You're in second place. You are in second place.
And that's
So
where you're going to stay.
I'm going to zoom into the lead this week, guys.
Maz, I will tell you this. If I lost to you, that would be a great joy because you deserve to win. You know all this stuff. You take it to heart. You're really dialed in. So if I lose to you, I have no problem with that. Now, if I lose to this joker over here, if I lose to Hermione, I'm pissed.
Yeah, that's bad. I'm telling you.
I'm the underdog here. If I happen to come out and beat anybody, that's going to be a shock.
You're right there.
We'll see. Well, I'm right up in there in it.
We're increments of 2. We're 12, 10, and 8. So
We're close. All right. Well, first Rift Zone question today. Of course, the Lions playing the Vikings. The Lions are plus 10 in Minnesota. I'm going Vikings.
I got to go with the Vikes. They're just too skilled offensively, and I don't think Detroit can stop them.
Braylon?
Yeah, come on, Mr.
I'll pick the Vikings.
Yeah, no, that's a no-brainer. That's Vikings.
Steve?
Yeah, Vikes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a shock for all of us in our pick'em here if the Lions come out and win. But
I think in our pick'ems we're over kind of late. So, Maz, what do you think? We're all trying to wait for Maz to go.
I didn't get Braylon. I didn't get Braylon. Did you go Vikes? Okay, yeah, making sure.
All of us. All right, second question. Over/under points scored by the Lions, 20.5. I am going under with that one. We'll throw it over to you, Ryan.
I'm going to go over. I think it's going to be a 42-24 game.
All right, Braylon?
Under. There's no way they score 20 points.
I don't think so either.
I think they will. I'll go over.
Yeah.
Okay. And Steve, what are you taking?
Yeah, I'm going to go over 2. I think they score late when the Vikings don't care anymore.
Exactly what I think.
All right, and then we'll do over/under points scored by the Vikings, 25.5. I'm going over on that because I think that the Vikings are going to come out hard.
That's the lock of the century.
Yeah.
25.5?
Yeah.
That's the lock of the century.
What about you, Ryan? Over/under for the Vikings?
Over.
Over for sure. Braylon?
Over.
Over times 2?
Over.
Tom?
Last year, Vikings scored 35 twice against the Lions. I'll go over.
All right. And Steve?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I might take the over at 40.
Right. All right. So the 3-1 Bills are playing the 2-2 Chiefs straight up. So who is going to win that? I'm going Chiefs. Ryan?
I mean, I want the Bills. I'm going to go Bills because I'm going to root for the Bills tonight. But, Bills.
Okay. Braylon?
Yeah, I said Bills all week. It's one of those things where I think because Patrick Mahomes is a not even era or a decade, he's a once-in-a-lifetime type player that we not paid attention to how bad their defense is. Their defense is bad. Their defense has been bad all season, and they were bad a little bit last year too. So I think the Bills, and I don't think it's as close as people think.
All right, Mr. Maz?
Oh, I'm with you, kiddo. Chiefs. I love the Chiefs tonight.
You love their defense too?
I don't care about their defense. I got Patrick Mahomes.
Steve, what about you?
Yeah, Bills actually have a good defense. Kansas City doesn't, but there's something magical about KC at home. I got the Chiefs.
All right.
I'm not mad at that.
Next up, we've got the 3-1 Packers at the 3-1 Bengals. Straight up and straight up. That's what my sheet says. So I'm going to go Bengals because I want to see them beat the Packers, and I really have no justification for that. Aaron Rodgers has obviously been very, very good, but I'm going Bengals because I think that maybe something like that will give me a little hope.
Green Bay's on a mission this year. I could see them at 14-3 on the year, and they've already got one of those losses. The second one's not coming today. I go Green Bay.
Braylon?
In sport, there's nothing like story. There's nothing like a story or a journey of being able to tell a story. And to tell a story of how the Green Bay Packers offseason affected the first game, and they were done, and they were completed, and now you see what they're doing now. You got to go Green Bay. It's not going to be close because I think Green Bay, if they're sitting there at the end of the season, it's a great story to tell from January to January. It's a hell of a story.
All right, Tam?
I was the only guy on the panel earlier in the year to pick the Packers to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.
This is true.
So I got to take the Packers.
All right, and Steve?
In the category of anything can happen, I present Alabama from last night. I'm going Cincinnati at home.
Ooh.
Steve and I. Riff versus Woodward right now.
Let's
go. Who's going to have the most passing yards in Week 5, excluding Thursday and the game this morning between the Falcons and the Jets? I'm going to go with Stafford. I think that he's on fire right now, and I want to see him.
He played on Thursday.
Yeah, he played Thursday.
Oh, he did play Thursday. Why did I think he was playing later today? All right, we're going to go to Ryan. Let me look at the sheet here.
I'm going to go Dak Prescott. He's going to torch the New York Giants defense. I say Dak throws for about 380-plus yards today.
Wow.
Okay, Braylon?
That's actually a good pick. That's actually a really good pick. I'm actually going to take Las Vegas and Derek Carr. I think coming off that loss last week, they're playing a secondary in Chicago that isn't a good secondary at all. It's at Las Vegas. They want to make a statement after that loss last week to the Chargers on Monday night. I'm taking Derek.
That's a good pick.
Derek Carr. Hey.
All right, Tom?
I got the lock of the week. You guys left him for me.
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins against the Lions. Come on. Really?
It's going to be a showdown. All right, well, I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes then because apparently I don't know what the schedule is.
That's
and
good.
the Rams already played. I swear to God, I saw him the list. I don't know what list I was looking at.
That's a great one, though.
Yeah, we'll see how he does. I think it'll be good. Steve?
I write my answers down first so I don't get confused while I'm writing them all down. I had Dak Prescott.
Look at that.
So apparently we're on the same wavelength there, Ryan.
Don't sleep on Tennessee this week and Ryan Tannehill against Jacksonville.
I'm so curious
with everything
to see
that
how
happened. Don't sleep on
today.
Tannehill having 400 yards. He had 380 last week.
If Jacksonville gets blown out today, watch out.
That's going to be a situation.
Yep.
As the situation from Jersey Shore would say, that's a situation. Yes. All right, the mystery question of this week is today is David Lee Roth's birthday of Van Halen, and so the question is of you three here, who can name the most Van Halen songs?
Oh,
I'm out.
I'm out.
What?
I'm terrible at naming
Jump,
who
Eruption.
sings what.
Jump, Eruption. That's two right there.
Yeah, I guess I was going to go with Braylon then.
Okay, two is the winner.
2 is the winner. You guys can't sit. We listened to one right before the show started.
I know what songs.
Beat It is one too. If you think about it, if you're doing
it's not.
If you're doing a compilation, Eddie Van Halen plays the guitar in that song.
I'm well aware of who plays guitar.
I will take that.
When you want to talk Casey Kasem, come to me.
Well, that is the Rip Zone here today for the DraftKings Rock and Roll pregame show. We are broadcasting live at O'Toole's in Royal Oak. We do this before every game for the Lions season. Check out WRIF.com for all the details. Ryan, Braylon, Tom, thank you guys so much. Steve, Chuck, back at the station. Go Lions. We'll see how it goes today. You're rocking with 101 WRIF.